on go live. Hey, and we're live. Hey, the Naughty Boy is live.
Yeah,
it's alive.
We're alive.
Hello, I'm Matt, the Naughty Boy, and I am joined with a special guest, Ian David Diaz,
the Mega Geek.
The Mega Geek, and he's an awesome director, producer. I don't know. Have you done acting?
No.
You didn't do you haven't even done a Hitchcock?
Nope, I will never stand in front of the camera. The only time I'm in front of cameras doing things like this, I am not an actor. I stay away from things like that, definitely. So
even just sitting in the background, reading a newspaper.
I have been in the background on some films for my friends' films. Katie did a pilot for a TV show that she did, and I was one of the crew members in the background. Not crew as in crew in the actual show itself, because she's meant to be. She was playing this star, and she was being directed by this director, and I was in the background. So I do stuff like that time for time for my friends, but I make it a point never to be in front of the camera if I can help it. Put it that way.
And do you have like SAG or something like that in the UK where I know you've got to have that weird thing where you're like you cannot have a person's name similar to another person that's also in the thing, because that's what happened with Peter Davison and that too.
Yeah, it's not called SAG. It's called, I can't remember what it's called because I'm not an actor, but they do have a union that looks after actors.
In Australia, they don't care.
Well, the thing is, in America, right, the unions are really strong, so they can bring down the production. But in England, they don't have any power whatsoever, apart from the TV industry that they can, kick you out and put you in and stuff like that. But the British film industry, if you can make it an independent film, they can't stop you. Because I remember when Robert Rodriguez was making his film, right, I think it was To Dusk Till Dawn, and he did something wrong, and the unions came down and they tried to shut him down, and they shut him down for 2 days, I think. And then he just said, sod it. And same thing with George Lucas. The most famous thing about George Lucas is that he wanted Spielberg to direct Return of the Jedi. But because he'd pissed them off, they Spielberg couldn't do it because he was part of the union. And then they had to get Richard, whatever his name is, the guy eventually directed it. So, the unions are quite strong in America, but not in England. Not in England when it comes to independent films. Yeah. So there you go.
I don't know. You don't need to sign up for anything in particular when you can just make a movie whenever you like. And okay. So you don't have to make sure you union rules.
No, it's tougher here because we have all these rules. Like, I don't know, in where you are, do people have guns? Do they have
No, we're not allowed to have guns. No. You can have certain guns, but you're not allowed to have like automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons. Those sort of things are ones that you can have bolt action sort of guns and that sort of thing. But and you can go hunting and that sort of thing. But there's nothing like that here now. It used to be, because they used to use it for farms and that sort of thing. But then anyone could go into a gun shop like in America, and buy any gun that you want. And unfortunately, we had an incident here about 25 years ago, actually in my neck of the woods. And, we nearly it was one of the greatest, well, I wouldn't say it was great, but it was one of the biggest, massacres on the planet at the time. Yeah. And so it pretty much blew Australia out of the water. And the funny thing is, America, they use our sort of, because we've not had anything since. We've not had anything of that grand scale of nearly 50 odd people, New Zealand has, but we haven't. And so the Americans, who are the anti-gun sort of control, people, they use us as an example. And then, of course, I think, who do they call the NR? They think we're totally loopy. They think we're the loopy ones because we don't have guns, And it's like,
it's weird, isn't it? Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's weird. The Americans are a bit crazy, but the reason why I brought that up is because, when you shoot with replica guns, it's against the law unless you're part of a film production company. You're not allowed to. So I can't walk down the road with a replica gun, holding it in my hand, whatever. I'll just get arrested by the police. So it's really hard to shoot action sequences outside of a place, because if you notice when you watch Rebecca Gold, the only time Rebecca has a gun is within doors. It's not, she's not running around in the street shooting people like 24 Jack Bauer's trying to shoot someone in the street. Or we can't do that because first of all, you need a crap load of money. Second of all, you need to hire an armorer, which costs a crap load of money. Then you need to hide the weapons, which cost a crap load of money. Then you need to go to the union, which costs a crap. You know what I mean? It just goes on and on and on.
There was a thing recently. I was listening to the news tonight, and they said that apparently there was a guy that went on he tried to kill the Queen or something.
Oh, really?
And apparently he was planning to kill the Queen, and he went to a what would you call it? Like a warehouse type thing to go and buy all the equipment for a suicide belt and all that.
All right,
And then they said, "Oh no, he's not dangerous." And then he went on his little spree. He tried to go on his little spree, and then all of a sudden, like, there just happened to be these special undercover cops in your country that had guns, And I was like, the only ones that I ever knew was the Bill, like watching the Bill, where they have the metal things. Yeah. So I knew that they weren't allowed to carry guns, and I know of someone who moved to Australia, and they were told they had to wear that. All cops here wear guns.
Yeah, it's over here. It's SO19. They're allowed to carry. They're allowed to carry guns.
Is that like a SWAT?
Yeah, they get called in when like something like in an airport or or something or a terrorist attack, whatever. They get called in because the police can only do so much with language and with that stick of theirs that they got. They can only do so much. So I don't know if you remember the incident that this guy went stabbing people on the bridge,
London Bridge.
It was So when he was doing that and people were trying to stop him, somebody just called the police, and the police alerted SO19. They came in, they just took him out. you know, they don't ask questions, they just take him out. It's like, hello, gone.
Well, we had the guy from the UK that came to live here and they said, you got to carry a gun, and the first thing he said was, I'm not gonna be a copper then.
Yeah.
So because they were so used to not having guns.
Yeah.
But I mean, when did they stop doing that, Ian? Like, I know this is probably going off.
Well, the police never had guns, though, as far as I know. As far as
what they just have whistles.
Well, I don't know the history. I personally, the thing is, though, the police had never carried guns. They've had these batons that you can now. They have these things that you can pull out.
Extended ones. Yeah, they're cool.
But when it comes to raids and stuff like that, they do have cops with guns and stuff like that. But I think it's quite a good rule, actually, because if they do walk around in the street with weapons and stuff, it's a bit intimidating, isn't it? Plus, with all this racist stuff that's going on with the police and stuff like that, there's excuses for them to shoot people. If you take the gun away, then they have to use reason and logic to try and defuse the situation, which is better in my opinion. So instead of just shooting someone, and that's the thing. So, but as I said, there's special units that have guns. I mean, going back to the 70s, they had the Sweeney carried guns and they were all corrupt. The whole of the force was corrupt.
Professionals.
Yeah. Well, CI5. Yeah. So there you go. But
I used to love that show. That was awesome.
That was a great show.
It's one of my earlier memories was watching that show. I just remember the helicopter. Like, you didn't see many cop shows with helicopters in them.
It was really violent though when it started. The Professionals. It was really violent.
I remember there was a movie. They tried to get the rights to the music.
Oh yeah.
And there's this guy that actually holds the rights to the theme song.
Oh wow!
And it was like and it was like thousands and thousands of dollars, and it was like for an Australian film, and they said we couldn't afford. It was literally going to be the whole entire budget of the film,
Jesus, yeah. No, I totally understand that. But, as I said, I think England's all right. It's an all right place to live, to tell you the truth. It isn't that bad, We do suffer with the weather and stuff like that, because it's mostly cloudy. And when it's really hot or when it's really cold, we don't know how to deal with it. So if it snows, snow touches a train line, all the trains get shut down because we're not used to it. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, transport here is a lot different to the mainland, which is, Melbourne, Sydney and all that.
Yeah.
So like we don't have trains, whereas they do. That's their majority of their travel is through trains.
But you have
we
just
we
drive.
have buses,
Oh,
we have
buses.
buses. Yeah, buses and drive sort of thing, and cars, no scooters or anything like that. We're not China or whatever. So but yeah, no, it's quite interesting to find out different cultures.
It is. I mean, where I live, I'm only 5 minutes away from the station, the train station, and then you drive into town, and then from there you can get underground or an overground anywhere basically in London. So there's really no need to drive, in my opinion. But still, people still drive and plug, and there's always traffic jams and nonsense like that. But the government's trying to make it harder for you to drive by putting all these concessions where you have to pay to go through an area and all that stuff. But still, people drive. Crazy. And so
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sort of like being forced pretty much to get my license because buses only go at certain times during the day.
Right,
so it's not like a train where it's every 10 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's getting to the point now where I'm gonna have to, I've got my learners, but I don't really want to have. I've never really wanted to drive it. I never really had anywhere to go to.
But it's the same thing with me. It's the same. Yeah. I've never learned how to drive either. I've taken my tests and everything, but I've never taken the full test to have a license. And quite frankly, I don't see the point because, as I said, in London, you can get anywhere with transport. I mean, it makes no sense to stand behind the car in a traffic jam and honk at someone or scream at someone, or when somebody takes a left turn. Because remember, every time you drive in London, I don't know what it's like where you are. Every time you drive in London, it really is a risk because the way people drive in London, they don't care. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
no, it's funny because when we're a lot safer for a long time, but then when it's weird because you've seen how they drive in China and the traffic and everything like that, and see because we've had more Asian countries come over, more Asian people to come and live here, it's become more the congestion and everything has become more like their hometown, and the traffic and everything. Yeah. But like places in like Melbourne and that sort of thing, for short roundabouts to go to the train or whatever, they'd take a tram. I don't know. You know what a tram is?
No, I know what tram is. We have trams certain places.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
You do,
well, these are the old-fashioned ones with the the wires and everything.
Yeah, we have that in like places like Croydon and stuff that they have trams, and they do have the wires at the top and the built-in tracks built into the road and stuff. And they have that stuff over there, but it's very rare. They don't really have it in the middle of London at all. So, but it's just trains and tubes of London, and buses as well. But I mean. Maybe we should start talking about media stuff now. I don't know. we've got on
I think so too. Like the Suicide Squad. What did you think of it?
I didn't really like it, to tell you the truth. I didn't. I just thought that James Gunn was trying too hard to make us laugh. And so James Gunn directed. I
laughed once during that film, and I can't even tell you what can't even tell you what the joke was. I giggled and that was it. That was once.
The music was too much, in my opinion. It didn't have a reason to be
very
there.
Copy of Galaxy it was. And I mean I'm not the biggest fan of Guardians of the Galaxy either. I just found it, maybe it was too hyped up for me.
Yeah.
I mean Suicide Squad was like, it was like, it's not good, it's good. And then I was like watching. I'm like, I'm on the not good side.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bit stupid, really. I mean, like for instance, they should have told me Squidward was in it at the ending, basically. Do you know what I mean? The big star thing. Yeah,
Starro. Yeah. Well, that's a big comic book. That's a big comic book thing. I liked that. That was the only thing that I did like, was the fact that. Yeah, I probably never thought I'd see him in that, but it's a bit weird how, he's he released all his stars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he also talked as well, and it was weird.
Towards the ending, he did.
Yeah, and I know he said that at some point he wanted Superman to be the villain, which they're going to make into a video. They're actually making a Suicide Squad video game, and guess who the villains are?
The heroes.
Yes, the heroes. And literally Superman picks up a man, and this is what I can't get, because it's like, well, if you're going to go down that route, Superman picks up a policeman and literally incinerates him. Now, if that was well, this is it. And it's like, well, if that's, if Superman actually realized what he'd done, he'd be absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
The fact is, he couldn't control it, but that's what his power did,
Yeah.
And it was, I'm a huge Superman fan. So, it was always Superman. And now they're trying to get rid of the whole American way and justice and.
As far as I'm concerned, those things don't exist. I have my own headcanon, and they can do whatever they want. We don't own it. I mean, but Suicide Squad, right, was a bit weird because you had that guy, the wrestler, I can't remember his name, the guy that he had that stupid costume with the silver mask.
Oh, yeah.
What's the actor's name? I can't remember.
Steven, is it Steve?
But anyway, his
yeah, I know who you mean.
His logic didn't make
a TV show out of it.
Oh.
Peacemaker. He's actually just finished shooting. Because I thought, well, they've killed him off.
No, he was alive at the ending.
I know, but they killed. I thought, I was watching it, and when it looked like he was killed off, I was like, oh, well, they've just killed him off. So what is it, a prequel or something like that? The show that they're going to make, but
yeah,
I didn't think he really had much charisma.
No, but
he was very one-dimensional, wasn't he?
His logic didn't make any sense, right? It's all for America, but yet he would kill all these people, and he's like, even if it means killing people, and plus,
very much like the cartoon, the comic.
Yeah, book. But if he was so good, why is he in jail? It's the thing. That doesn't he realize what he's doing?
Because he was killing kids, He just didn't care.
Doesn't he realize that? That didn't make any sense to me, but anyway, whatever.
Well, I didn't know any of the villains, like when they go into like the prison and that.
Yeah.
And the villain, I didn't know.
Nor did
any of those.
Yeah, nor did I.
There was a lady there with pizzas on her face, like little shards and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, who are you? And I don't know. I like the fact that they had the nice, colorful costumes and everything.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've been missing from Marvel is the fact that at least. It was Cena, John Cena.
Yeah, John
Cena. At least he looked like the actual part from a comic book.
Yeah.
Okay, it was probably a little bit crappy, but at least, that he had that. And it was like, well, Marvel, they just, they want to show their faces all the time. And
Spider-Man, mask always off.
Oh, and it's like, hey, everybody, Oh, don't worry, we won't tell. It's like, fuck off. Spider-Man 2. I was just like, oh,
yeah.
Fuck you,
I did like Spider-Man 2 apart from that bit. I thought
that one scene where they what do they
We won't tell anyone. Got the phone up. We won't tell anyone. Yeah, it's a bit stupid, right? Yeah.
I never actually watched the last one. The last
one was okay. It was okay. But I don't know what's going on with Spider-Man now, because I think Spider-Man's reverted back to Sony. So if that means it's reverted back to Sony, then that means he can't interact with the Marvel characters like Nick Fury.
Disney's looking at buying him out.
It's interesting.
Disney is currently looking at buying. Yeah, well, I mean, that's right, isn't it? I mean, there was a time where they almost got wiped out. Marvel Comics couldn't, they were almost bankrupt.
Yeah.
And I think Iron Man was the last ditch attempt at trying to make a movie, and because it was such a hit, Disney bought them out straight out, and they were more than happy to sell off, because at the time they were having a lot of artists had started taking control of Marvel, ex-artists, I guess you could say, and all of a sudden that they were media moguls. They wanted to be the next Stan Lee, And it didn't work out that way, but, many of them still try. I mean, Jim Lee's in charge of DC now.
He is.
And, I was never a huge Jim Lee fan at all. I remember he came over for a convention, and and it was him, and he was going in for like a little little speech type thing, and I walked in like 5 minutes before he ended because I was there to see William Catt out of Greatest American Hero. I really didn't give a shit about Jim Lee. I was like, because to me his art's really stiff and everything. Being an artist, I'm like, it's like it's like stiff Batman.
Yeah.
And then he redesigned all the characters and he gave Superman pants and all that shit.
Yeah, well, yeah. But the thing is though, with I just remember the days of Stan Lee in charge of Marvel, Carmen Finno was in charge of DC. And those, for me, those were the days that really resonated with me. Everything else beyond that. And plus, I got really fed up once Stan Lee was losing control and DC was evolving. I got fed up, and then I went over to 2001 with Judge Dredd, and I was, that was the time when violence was, there was a lot of violence in comics, and I loved it. I completely loved it as a kid. And then from there I went to Deadline, which was like punk rock for comics with Tank Girl and stuff like that. And then there was a long moment where I didn't read any comics whatsoever. And then suddenly I walked into Forbidden Planet and I saw Sin City, and then I was back in again. It just takes one comic for you to go back into it.
Were you into Suicide Squad at all? The comic?
No. I've read it. I read a few comics and of Suicide Squad. That I know the gosh, I'm so old. The elite, the guy, the woman, the black woman that runs it in the comics, and I thought it was interesting, but it wasn't enough for me to keep buying. Do you know what I mean? With Sin City, I remember reading the first one. I'm thinking this is amazing because I love the idea that it's just black and white and it's film noir and stuff like that. And that was enough for me to buy the next one, then the next one, then the next one. And it was the same thing with other comics as well, like Judge Dredd. When I first read Judge Dredd, it was the art first of all, Ron Smith, and then it was the stories, and then I kept buying and buying. Do you know what I mean? It's just those things that keep you involved. But once it starts going pear-shaped and then suddenly all this politics started going into it, I just lost interest in the whole thing. And as I said, Sin City was the thing that brought me back. And then I discovered Frank Miller. Then there was the Daredevil Frank Miller, Born Again, which I really loved. And then was Marvels, which I really loved as well. Marvels is terrific. Yeah,
I have the first run of Marvels too, and I was like, I knew as soon as I saw that, I was just like, that's what a movie would look like, and it's so, and like it was taken straight from the comics, the original comics. So therefore, even the imagery, like straight down to the panels, were taken from comics, because you had Spider-Man battling Green Goblin. And and like he had the pumpkin bombs and all these and he really looked like fucking Green Goblin. He didn't have this Power Rangers shit on. And so, you just thought, that looks, I would love a movie.
But did you not notice that the artist drew famous stars to play certain characters? So they had, if you look carefully, they drew, what's his name? The guy who played James Bond in Living Daylights. What's his name? Dalton. They drew Timothy Dalton as Iron Man. If you look at the panel, it's Timothy Dalton.
He did. Alex Ross used a lot of like using like actors and that sort of thing to get his characters. He did a show called not a show, but he did another comic book after the success of Marvel. He went and did this other one. I don't know if you've read it, called Kingdom Come.
I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
It's really, really good. It's like if you could do something like similar to Marvel's that that DC, but like do it in the future way as well. So it was all set in the future, and like Superman is gone into recluse, and all this sort of thing, and like he's got the whole mullet, and at the time I think he had the mullet as well. So so they had him tied his hair, and then he went and cut it like eventually. But and like he ended up, because Lois Lane was dead, the Joker had killed her, and so he was on with Wonder Woman.
He had a relationship with Wonder Woman, didn't he?
Who
could blame him? Who could blame him? That's all I could say. Because she's gorgeous, isn't she? Let's face it. So
and I mean gorgeous. a lot of it, they span off into its own. They tried another one. Marvel tried another one called Earth X, which was all about the whole mutant thing and like, you know, another future version of Marvel characters, but it just didn't work, you know.
The thing is, though, if you're Marvel now, I keep saying this. The thing I would do is I would do the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, because they have the rights on the X-Men and Fantastic Four now, and I would seriously consider doing Marvels, because before they all get old, right? I mean, you got was it Tom Holland plays Spider-Man? You got Captain America, Chris Evans, Captain America, because it starts off with the journalist, doesn't it? It starts off with that they're all standing near the car, and it's a young Jonathan Jameson, isn't it? And they're talking. That's the first panels, isn't it? And then we get the first Human Torch, which wasn't Johnny Storm. It was this other guy, the Human Torch, wasn't it? So,
and he's actually my favorite.
Yeah, it plots the history, and it'd be amazing. They should do it now while everybody still looks relatively okay. That's what they should do, you know. But they're not going to do that.
Set it in the 60s. No, they won't.
But it starts from the 60s and it ends. Was it the 80s or was it the 70s? I can't remember. Where it ends.
No. It goes straight through to the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's like a 20, 30 year span, 40 years span, actually.
Yeah.
Because the guy's just like a roving reporter, isn't he? He's like the first one with the, he's sort of like the, what is that? Not protege to Peter Parker, but like, you know, he becomes like his, what do you call it? It's like he looks up to him sort of thing later on in the series. And then,
The thing is, though, he's that character. You really did feel for him throughout the years. You know what I mean? You took that journey with him in the comics, and it was obviously, I love the idea that he's just an ordinary person living in this fantastical world where all these people are flying around, and you know, and the idea that people get hurt when they smash into buildings and stuff like, which never occurred to me before I read that comic. And that episode where they hid that mutant in their basement, which was really heartbreaking, wasn't it? Because that was just a child, wasn't it? It was just a child, and you know, and I remember
forgot about that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You're right, because it was the image of the mutant was like what you'd expect, because it didn't look human.
Yeah,
it looked somewhat abnormal human.
And
so you know that's what they were scared of.
Yes. But that's the whole idea, isn't it? The whole idea is that it's emotionally charged. You know, Marvel's is emotionally charged. He felt when Gwen Stacy died, because he knew Gwen Stacy, you know, and when she died, he really did. It really did upset him. He lost an eye for what he believed. Yeah. And then as it went on and on and on, you know, he began to realize that those people are there to protect us. We shouldn't be scared of them. And that's how it concludes throughout the whole of all those years that he experienced with those things, with these people flying around and trying to protect us. He came to the conclusion that they were there to protect us and we should support them. Unlike everyone else was saying they're a menace, especially Jonathan J. Jameson. They're a menace. Spider-Man needs to be locked up and all that stuff. So it's a really good story. You know, it's well thought out.
The writer, I think it was Alex Bersiak.
I think so. And another person as well.
He went, Alex Ross.
Yeah.
But Kurt Bersiak it is, and then Alex Ross. But he also went on to do another show called another comic called Astro City, which he pretty much created characters from scratch, and had, like, you know, the Samaritan, and he had the hero that lost his life to save the city, and he was a statue, and all this weird things. But like, it was very much like Alan Moore did with the Watchmen, you know, like use those sort of characters, the Charlton characters, but didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so, and it's actually a really good series as well. But back to Suicide Squad. I always, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, when are the guys going to show up in the chess pieces? But then I realized that's Checkmate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's so confusing, because I just remember all these really cool comics from the 80s, and I don't know where he got his inspiration from for that particular, you know, whether or not. Well, yeah, to me it didn't feel like a comic book. Did it feel like a comic book to you?
No. To tell you the truth, when I was watching it, I slightly got bored with it. And I think the only thing I enjoyed in it was Idris. I think Idris was quite good in it, but
he was good in it.
Everybody else, I just thought,
you could tell that he was Will Smith's character, though.
Yes, you can. You can, definitely.
You know, it's like, we're getting Will Smith's character back in, you know, and it's like,
and they couldn't.
Okay, no. So they will get the
but even because you can tell it was him, because in the first Suicide Squad he had a daughter, remember, and Batman caught him, and he didn't want to make his daughter ashamed of him. And then that scene where it just meets his daughter, and his daughter is swearing at him and stuff. You could tell that was Will Smith's character, because in the first one Will Smith had a daughter, and now she's grown up. So that was probably what they wanted to do with that. So you could tell.
You could see it was changed.
Yeah, it was obviously changed to have his character in there, but he was okay.
How did you feel about the beginning when they sent in that other crew, and you knew that they were all going to get slaughtered?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't know they were going to get slaughtered. I was happy when Boomerang Man got blown up, because Boomerang Man is rubbish.
That's the worst Australian accent I've ever heard.
He's American, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know, but he's
he's terrible.
He's like, hey, mate, how you going? Hey, and I'm like, fuck off.
It's stupid, isn't it? I mean, you had that guy that just took his hands off his body and just went and slapped people with his hands. I'm like, this is ridiculous. What kind of power is that? You know, stupid.
I think that was the whole point. The whole point was he didn't like. I mean, I was like, you're just seeing his hands wobble in the air.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, there's no power behind it. So, what's he going to do? And then he's just trying to slap him. And it's like, you could tell that they just sent them to, and then they had Michael Rooker's character.
Yeah.
Who just look, he acts all tough and everything. And then as soon as he sees, he's like, and he runs off.
Yeah, he runs off. Yeah.
And suddenly birds become meat eaters.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know of any birds that are meat eaters.
I know, it makes no sense. So saying it kind of like he tried too hard to make us laugh. That was the thing. And we knew that Harley was going to survive, because they weren't going to kill her off. She's one of the stars.
She's a girl.
Yeah, well,
although they did kill her, they did kill the girl in the in the first ones, but she was like a Mongol. I think it was a Mongol. I think that's what the name. I'm not being rude or anything, but that's what her species is. It's from Mongol or something. Yeah.
But also, you couldn't rescue a girl either, because when they were going to rescue Harley, she got out of it, didn't she? So there's that rule in it that you can't help a woman, you can't rescue a woman, and it's like. So I mean, I just thought that was a bit daft as well. She comes out, do you want me to go back in? I'm like, I was like, okay.
I know, but it was so predictable too, Ian, because there was that scene where for some reason the guy who's trying to marry Harley, you could tell it's like, well, she's going to kill him.
Yeah, of course she is. Yeah,
and as soon as they smash into the glass gun cabinet.
Yeah,
it's like, well, she's going to shoot, and so it was just like, well, what's
also another thing that bothers me as well is that Harley she started off as the psychiatrist to the Joker. Okay, so she was a psychiatrist. Then she got poisoned in her mind by the Joker, and she became Harley Quinn.
I have that comic book, Mad Love.
So when does she get time to learn how to do kung fu and shoot a gun and be an expert at suddenly she can take on like a whole army and fight fight like someone that's been fighting for years.
I think she was like a protege to the Joker. Like,
yeah, but the Joker doesn't fight.
No, but the Joker. Well, yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're right. No sense.
You're absolutely right. But she used to do acrobatics and all that weird shit when she was in the cartoon. And you got to remember, this is based on the cartoon.
Yeah, I know.
It is.
I know. She
and it's like, I mean, I've got this thing here. I don't know. I know I'm bringing out a toy, so watch it.
That's all right.
So this here.
Yeah.
Here we go. This here, right?
Yeah.
Is her name is Roxy Rocket, right?
Yeah.
And she is actually designed by the same guy that created Harley.
Oh, yeah.
Designed Harley. Didn't create her, but like he designed her, Bruce Timm. But like, have you ever heard of her before?
No. No.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, like they come up with these characters and then it's taken 30 years to, you know, to sort of like, what would you call it? Just to become, to create this character that's totally impervious to everything. Because as soon as they made her into the comic book, I was like, oh no, really?
Yeah.
Because she wasn't really supposed to be like that,
I just believe that I'm of a mind where I believe that every film has to have some kind of logic that they follow, and to me, right. So sometimes comic books doesn't have logic, but I think when you make a movie of a comic book, it'll be based on that. But also, you're supposed to have internal logic so that people that don't know the comic characters will be able to follow it and understand it, and also connect with it. With Hailey, as I said, right, she never got any training. There's that bit where she's killing everyone and all these flowers are coming up behind her. And do you remember that scene where she goes in, she shoots everyone and stuff like that? I'm thinking, where did she learn this? How did she learn how to flip like that? How did she learn how to punch someone with such force that she could knock someone out?
As a director, what can you think of a reason why he would come up with that decision to have a colorful flower? Yeah.
It's just artistic thing that he decided to do. Instead of showing blood, he had flowers coming out of the thing. And and maybe what he's saying is that this is in Hailey's mind when she starts killing people, that she doesn't want to see blood and she just wants her madness to be. Yeah, that's probably what he's saying. But the thing is, though, sometimes when you do stuff like that, audience get really confused and it could take someone out of the film.
Right over my head. Now you've explained it to me, it actually makes sense.
Well, I'm just guessing. I'm guessing.
No, Matt. Well, it's like it's a lot better than what I thought of. I was just like, oh, you're doing it some sort of artistic type of crap, because you can.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. Like the stupid. I hate those stupid bits in superhero or heroine movies where they walk in slow motion and there's mist behind them or something. I was just thinking, you know what? That's been done so many times. Why? And they did it to music like 3 times or some nonsense like that in this film. The best way they did it, in my opinion, was the Avengers when they all landed and the camera went around them, and you had, Thor with his hammer, and you had what is her name, Black Widow shoved the thing in a gun and went right around, and what's his name, Captain America with the shield, and I thought that was really cool because that just is like a comic book, but doing it over and over again, just
it was like new. Well, yeah, and I mean that was probably the only time that the Avengers actually wore their masks.
Yeah, right.
For that one shot,
Yeah, and their proper costumes as well. Like Thor, he had the hammer, had the long hair, and and the muscles, and it very looked like a comic.
He really needed that.
Yeah, he got rid of that, though, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Yeah. He got rid of it though. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a fine line when you direct it, in my opinion, of course, because I've never directed a superhero or hero movie.
Which one would you do if you could? What would you do?
I've always wanted to do Spider-Man. If I did Spider-Man, it would never have been like the Tom Holland one. It would have been. All right, so let's talk about Spider-Man, right? So the first Spider-Man that's directed by Sam Raimi, I thought was really good. He got the origin spot on, and he added a few things to the origin that I thought was absolutely terrific. Like when he goes to fight the guy in the ring, I thought was great, and I
like the choice of having anus wrist.
Yeah. Well, that came from James Cameron. Because James Cameron's originally going to direct Spider-Man, and he wrote in the script that the web shooter comes from him rather than he built something. And so Sam Raimi just kept that in the script. And I like that idea that it would be organic from him. Do you know what I mean?
You would think, it's just like, well, it's not coming out of his ass. But I grew up with my comic. For me, even though I love Spider-Man, like the Peter Parker Spider-Man, for me, my personal Spider-Man is 2099 Spider-Man. But that's because like it was something new, because he also had organic web shooters as well, but they came out of the top of his wrist.
Top of his hand,
Yeah. But, so that to me wasn't a huge leap of logic. But a lot of
No.
people were very upset that the fact was that,
Yeah.
it was a genius and he needs. It's like, well, no, because I kind of understand why you'd mutate. You're going to mutate. Oh, you can just climb up walls. Whoop-de-doo.
And another thing that bothered me as well is if you did Spider-Man, and they do have it now where he creates the web shooters, he shoots them all around the city. They say in the comics that after an hour or two it melts, doesn't it, and it disappears. I remember seeing that in the comic. They're degradable. Yeah. But what you'd have is scientists following Spider-Man around and trying to analyze. Wouldn't you? You wouldn't. Yeah. It's like the whole world is like, oh, Spider-Man's going around in his web, and nobody thinks to find out how these webs are made. You'd have people running around trying to get samples of it and trying to create their own version. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Where do these come from?
The problem with this today's if you're going to do Spider-Man today, you have certain problems that you can't solve. Like, for instance, he can't be a photographer anymore working for the Daily Bugle because everybody has a phone now. So Spider-Man's fly. Everybody can take a picture of Spider-Man and send it to the Daily Bugle, right? And get money or whatever. So Peter Parker made redundant, wouldn't he? He wouldn't be able to work.
did it. That movie Kick-Ass did it.
Yeah, with the video.
He even had his own MySpace account.
Yeah, but it's hard.
That didn't date well.
No, I would love to do. Spider-Man, but failing that, I would love to direct Fantastic Four, because what I would do was not worry about the origin at all and just come straight in that they're there already. That's what I would do. It'd be hard, but it is achievable to do a really good version of Fantastic Four.
I mean, the whole point of Black Panther, he was brought in, was because it was a mostly white cast in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
That's the reason why Black Panther was brought in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever knew this, but they actually changed his name. Are you aware of this?
No.
They changed his name to Black Leopard.
When? When?
You're not aware of this?
No.
Yeah, they changed their name. Like, this is early in the 60s. Like, I think he made one appearance as Black Panther, and then like Stan Lee changed it to Black Leopard because he was worried that it might be part of the Black Panther, because at the time,
Black Panther,
yeah. So the Thing actually asks him, says, "Oh, didn't you used to be called the Black Panther?" And he goes, I am not a part of that group. I shall now be known as the Black Leopard." And then literally in the next comic he shows up, he's known as the Black Panther again.
But I thought that I didn't really like the Black Panther film. I just thought it was
it was awful. And I don't know, I kind of feel racist for not liking it.
No, well, you shouldn't. It's just an opinion, right? I felt the effects let it down. I thought the effects were terrible.
Ouch.
Yeah. It really did let it down.
That bit where he lands on the car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is a multi-million-dollar film.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even afford it to look even realistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like they'd half-baked it,
Yeah. And also when he was fighting the bad guy at the ending, it was just awful.
It didn't. To me, it didn't belong even in an Oscar nomination at all.
Yeah,
I didn't think the acting was great. It was subpar at best, and it was just, I'd feel embarrassed for the African people.
But also,
to be honest,
in the plot, right? The main bad guy was annoyed because they weren't sharing their wealth with the rest of Africa, which makes sense. Why would you have Wakanda, right, sheltered away from the world, and not help the poor Africans, which is your race? And that guy was right. When I was listening to the film, I was like, wait, man, he's right. Do you know what I mean? Black Panther should be doing something.
You know what though? They're fixing that now because they're doing the video game. Have you seen that?
No.
You've seen that? No. Have you seen the they've done a little trailer for it? And what they've done is I can't remember the name of the character's name, but they're actually getting him. The Black Panther's dead, right? And so they actually get him in, and he's like, he's being an asshole as he was in the film, and then they're saying, well, prove that you can be the Black Panther. So he takes on the mantle of the Black Panther, but that's obviously, they're taking parts of that movie, because I think they're changing it now to Wakanda.
Well, what are they going to do?
I
mean, Chadwick is gone. He's gone.
Just recast. I know it's going to be like they're doing it out of just like, we really need him to be the Black Panther for a bit longer, and it's like, but it's his, like, I'm not saying it's his fault, but it was part of his responsibility to let them know that he wasn't well.
Yeah.
And the fact is that obviously he wanted the part so badly.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I thought he did he did a good job at it. I think that it was the supporting cast that really let him down.
Yeah, well, I just think the story and basically the effects let the whole thing down, in my opinion. But I loved him in, is it 21 Bridges? I think he made a film called 21 Bridges where he played a cop, and I really loved him in that. I thought that film was brilliant as far as I was concerned. Really, really fast moving, really great. And he was a great actor, and I've seen him in other stuff as well. And I think he's a really good actor. But I'm not gonna praise Black Panther because
I thought he was better in Civil War anyway,
Yeah.
I thought it was like, it was one of the characters I wasn't liking. But then when I saw Civil War, I was like, okay, I could actually enjoy this.
And also he had a really cool costume as well. I thought his costume was quite cool.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I miss the cape. Sorry. I do. He had that great little, the cape that.
Yeah, he did. You can't move around with a cape though, can you? Do you know what I mean? Unless you're the Vision.
Hey, have you seen Spider-Man in the What If?
No, I saw the last two What Ifs, which is the Captain American one, and
Spider-Man's wearing a cape now, dude.
So hold on. So wait, there's only been 2 released though. How have you seen that one?
Yeah. Well, I as you can see, I collect action figures.
Right, okay.
And they're actually releasing a special collector's figure for him. He is actually going to become a zombie hunter.
Right, they're doing that one.
Zombies,
then.
When he's going to be in the zombies one, I haven't watched any of What If, because that's the zombies one's the only one I want to watch.
Yeah, the What Ifs doesn't. I didn't mind the Peggy Carter one. It was okay. There was obviously they're pushing a bit of the agenda in, but what I liked
could never go wrong with Hayley Atwell.
Yeah, well, she's gorgeous. But the thing I liked about it was that they didn't dismiss the Steve character, and they remained in love with each other, which I really liked. It wasn't fully feminine agenda. They did have bits in there, but I didn't mind it personally. And all those reports that she was big and bulky. And they showed pictures of her big and bulky in the cartoon. She wasn't that bulky. You could see her breasts, and she did have a shape and stuff like that. So it wasn't as bad as people have reported it to be. It was fine. It was okay. It wasn't great. Yeah. It was okay. But this one, the second one, when Black Panther becomes Star-Lord, was just a waste of my time. It really was.
That didn't make any sense to me. I was like, no, I'm going to totally miss that one out.
Yeah,
because wasn't the whole point of them collecting quills so that they could, they take him home to his dad,
Yeah. So what happens in this version, which you're probably not going to watch, is that
I'm not going to watch. I'm going to watch the zombie one.
Yeah, the ship turns up in Wakanda, outside of Africa, and the prince, he's young. He comes out of Wakanda because he wants to venture out to more, and the ship appears. And what's his name? Yondu comes down and talks to him, and he says, "Yeah, do you want to see the stars?" And he just gets on the ship and then they flies off. It doesn't make any sense, right? It makes no sense, because the whole idea of Star-Lord was that they were looking for the son of
he was taken on purpose.
Yes,
he was taken on purpose,
and they found him, didn't they?
That's why I like the sequel better. I like the sequel better.
So, but in this, What If? Why are they in Africa? It made no sense.
That's it. That's like, it's like, oh, what if they went to Africa instead of? But they didn't get him by accident. It's like, oh, come and join me.
It
That
just,
doesn't make
it just
any.
didn't make any sense. Yeah. So anyway, whatever.
I've been burnt from too much Marvel. I
So,
really
well,
have.
yeah.
One
Yes.
Division did it for me, so I didn't watch.
Didn't
Winter
like
Soldier. I
WandaVision. Didn't like
totally
Wanda.
skipped Loki. No, I didn't like. I liked the beginning of it, and
Yeah,
I
so did I.
liked where it was going, and then all of a sudden it just dropped off the cliff.
Bait and switch, mate.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah, it showed us some
Yeah.
great bits in the beginning that you think it's going to be this action series with both of them kicking ass.
No.
Then it turns into this freckly girl, teenager girl that you can't, that was just
thing
everybody
and,
listened to for some reason.
Introducing new characters and
yeah,
and now all of a sudden, I was like, no.
and suddenly, was it Sharon Carter suddenly this woman that has all this power? And
I didn't even know about that. But like, isn't Sharon Carter? Isn't that Captain America's? Isn't that Steve Rogers' daughter?
No, it's Peggy Carter's daughter, or niece. I think it's Peggy Carter's niece.
Oh, it's a niece.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But he still had it off with his niece. Okay.
Well, he didn't. He didn't get to second base. He got to kiss her.
Oh, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I thought they were having a relationship.
In the movie, it was obvious that she fancied him, and the only time that they ever did anything was he kissed her before the fight in the airport. Do you remember? Because she delivers all the equipment.
Yeah, I've only ever seen it the once, but yeah.
All right. Yeah. So. But she's the actress that plays her is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I remember her being in some TV show that I was watching. I can't remember what the TV show was called. Oh, Revenge. It was a show called Revenge, and she was in it.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
Yeah, she's lovely, but I think she's kind of got a bit puffy now. I think she's a mother and she's had kids and stuff. I mean, I'm trying to be nice here. A bit puffy.
No. You're just reminding me of that chick out of Discovery.
Oh yeah.
Discovery, where she's just going all Jabba the Hutt.
yeah. She's not puffy. She's more than puffy. Yeah, she is. Yeah,
big curvy girl.
She is. Yeah, it's just weird what's happening with our entertainment these days. It really is incredibly weird. I find it all puzzling. Why people are doing it.
As a director and someone that works in the industry.
Don't work in industry, mate.
No, I know you do editing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but
like as seeing it from the outside, okay.
Yeah.
Where do you think the greatest influence to a movie comes from? Is it the director? Is it the writer? Is it the studio that produces it? Who do you think makes that decision that, hey, we need to start making statements with these movies?
Well, the thing is, though, it depends on what situation you're in. Okay, right. So if you look at Ken Loach as a director, basically he's all about making statements. He believes that making films to make a better world. Like the last couple of films, he was talking about unemployment in his films. He was he made this. I can't remember. Look, my brain is so crap these days. But he made this film about this unemployed guy that was trying to help people and stuff like that. It was really, really, really good film, and it made a statement about how the government treats people that are on benefits and stuff like that. So you got directors like that would make a statement purely because they feel for the world, and Ken Loach is one of them, right? But then you've got the studio system that basically will take, now it looks like what they're doing, they'll take an IP and they'll have this cultish mentality, and they'll try and shove it into the IP, a really well-known IP, so they can put their message out into the world. And 9 times out of 10, it's not disguised too well, and people see it, and it's getting worse. And now they don't care. Look at what happened to Master of the Universe. They just don't care. They blatantly flaunt it in front of you, expecting you to pay to see their crap. So it depends on what system that you're in. People do it for the right reasons sometimes, and sometimes people deliberately do it and they want to shove what they believe in your face. There was a quote from Clint Eastwood once. He said that if you ask for my opinion, right, I'm not a bakery. I will not sugarcoat everything that I say. He says, the reason why you're angry with me is because I'm saying what you don't want to hear, which is true, is absolutely true. So if you ask for someone's opinion and they're straightforward, they will tell you their opinion. If you don't like the answer, you have a problem, not the person that's actually giving you the answer. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way it goes, I guess.
Well, the thing is with Clint Eastwood is that he can talk to a chair and make you believe that he's talking to a chair.
He can. He can. He can. But you know
People
what?
are going over to, yep.
The best thing about Clint Eastwood, right? Apart from
I love Eastwood,
apart from his westerns,
he doesn't take shit. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Shit.
But also Clint Eastwood and Woody Allen. We won't talk about Woody Allen because that's a different matter. They have this philosophy about films only cost a certain amount of money, right? So they will not go beyond a certain amount of money because they know if they do, they won't get their money back. So that's why people keep financing their movies, because Woody Allen would only go up to 20 million when he makes a movie, and because he's Woody Allen, he can get big stars for less money. So he'll talk to someone like Bradley Cooper and go, "Do you want to be in this film?" And Bradley Cooper, he's not stupid; he's going to say yes, isn't he? And I say, "Well, I can only pay you, a quarter of what you get paid." And they're going to say yes anyway. And it's the same thing with Clint Eastwood. Yeah, Clint Eastwood makes a movie with Tom Hanks when he was in that aeroplane. I can't remember the film where he was flying the aeroplane. Can't remember that film that Clint Eastwood directed. Tom Hanks is going to say yes. I mean, Tom Hanks is 20 million per movie, right? And Clint Eastwood's got 15 million to make a movie. Clint Eastwood's going to say to him, "Well, I can only pay 100,000." Tom Hanks is going to go, "Yeah, okay." Do you know what I mean? That's the power that they have, and they always get their money back on their films.
That's the actor though that wants to do other things besides, the big mega $1 million blockbuster. Because
actors want to be challenged. That's the key. To get
a lot of them do. A lot of them just want the money, don't they? Too.
Yes. Well, they're not. In my opinion, they're not doing anything for the industry. If they're all about the money, then they're going to end up like Bruce Willis, who phones it in now. If you see Bruce Willis, he's only doing films for the money now, isn't he? He does terrible movies now. He doesn't care. He just does it for the money, and that's it. And he just moves on. You end up like what is it? Steven Seagal? Was it Bruce Willis? Wesley Snipes. They do it for the money.
They have they have families they have to pay.
Yeah, they do. They do, and I've got to admit, they do. Yes, but right. For me, the best actors are the actors that want to be challenged, that want to express themselves even more. I mean, Bradley Cooper, bless his heart, he's one of them. He went out of his way to do A Star Is Born off his own back. And. He sang in the movie as well. His voice is not too bad, but I like actors like that actually want the challenge of being a better actor. And I think in the long run, it helps them, because if they star in a film and it's well received and the performance is good, that can only attract more business rather than Bruce Willis going, "You're going to give me 2 million for 15 minutes? Okay, I'll do that." And you get a bad reputation. People don't end up not seeing the movie because it's so bad anyway. That's not really good for business. And in the end, the well's going to run dry, isn't it, for him?
Yeah.
Once people realize that he's only going to be in it for 2 minutes, they're not going to watch it. That's the thing. So, but anyway, I digress. I digress.
Is there an actor that you'd like to work with?
God, yeah, met loads.
I mean, you've worked, well, I know you've met a lot, so but is there one that you particularly want to work with? That you're like, oh yeah, he actually seems like a cool guy.
I'd love to work with Bradley Cooper, Haley Atwell. Oh God, I'll just be staring at her all day. I'll just go action and won't say cut. just keep looking at her.
Just call me Tom.
yeah. Haley Atwell I think she's a fine actress and a fine looking woman as well. And I think she's in the prime now. I think she should push doing different stuff as well.
She was in this crazy show on Netflix, actually. I think David Tennant did a similar thing as well. Like they were playing a criminal or something, and they were being spoken to. And I was like, "That's Haley Atwell." Jeez, I was like, I don't think she was wearing makeup or anything, which was amazing for her. Not to wear anything to make herself look glamorous.
Yeah,
that to me is an actor.
As I said, I like to work. The thing is, though, if you work with the big ones like Tom Hanks, you're not really directing them. You hire Tom Hanks to be Tom Hanks. You hire Julia Roberts to be Julia Roberts. Because what are you going to say to someone like Robert De Niro? You're going to say, "Look, Robert, mate, that was terrible." Do you know what I mean? He never gives a terrible performance. What are you going to say? How are you going to direct them? They're just going to do their thing anyway. So
that was actually, he was part of the reason I didn't want to watch The Joker.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, okay.
I was like, I think you're trying to that like he was trying to. They were trying to go for somewhere. Like he was trying to come back from. Oh, what was that movie he was with Jerry Lewis?
Oh, the
Can't remember.
yeah,
That's
it
the only
was,
reason
yeah,
why he was cast. It wasn't
yeah.
for any other. To me, he doesn't look like a talk show host.
No, he doesn't.
Sorry, he
He
doesn't.
doesn't. Yeah, he
So
doesn't.
that was the reason why they went that direction. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, look, we got De Niro. Like Superman. We've got, fucking bloody what's his name? Who
You
played
mean
Kal-El? No, who played Jarrell?
the Australian fella.
No, Jarrell. No. In
Jarrell.
the original.
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando. That's it. Yeah.
In Man of Steel, it was Russell Crowe. He's Australian guy. Russell Crowe played him, didn't he? I thought you were talking about Man of Steel.
He was another good actor that just didn't give a shit about. He didn't really care about what he looked like.
Oh God, yeah. You can tell now. yeah. He's putting a lot of weight, isn't he, and stuff like that. But
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, and also
Marlon
Brando. Marlon Brando went that way as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Marlon Brando's he's a good actor. I can't remember his lines, and he's really good at reading his cue cards, but it doesn't look like he's reading off cue cards at all. He's really good at doing that. But I mean, you've got to get a big star to sell your film. That's the thing. Even if they're in it for 15 minutes, that's the way it is, I guess. I don't know. But
well, that Joaquin Phoenix, I never really ever saw him as Joaquin. Is it Joaquin? Okay,
I think it's Joaquin. I'm not sure.
I've gone past where his brother got died, but that's about it.
That's about
on
it,
the street, it's like, oh, that's a street corner where he dropped dead. I was like, oh wow. But other than that,
I really liked
him. Actor. I didn't like Gladiator.
Yeah, it was okay. It was all right. I didn't see what
he's a little bit too effeminate for my liking. Like, he just
really.
Yeah, he just doesn't have any gravitas.
He's a bit of a chunky guy though. Even in.
Joaquin.
I'm talking about I'm talking about Russell Crowe.
I'm talking about Joaquin. Joaquin.
Yeah. Joaquin's a bit weird.
Russell Crowe's an absolute prick. I don't know if you've ever seen that South Park episode where he just gets into a fight with everything. But he's very much like that. Like when you watch him in Australian interviews and that like that, he just doesn't want to play ball. He's very much like the British actor.
Which one?
The one that he was in Gladiator as well. He was the one that died. Oh,
well, I know the guy who plays.
No, he was in Gladiator and he died during production.
Oh, of course,
Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed. Yes.
And
he doesn't.
He's very much like Oliver Reed. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
When he's being interviewed, he's going to treat a girl like shit. That sort of thing. He may show up drunk. Which he has
Oliver
done,
Reed did that a lot, didn't he? Oliver Reed did that a lot. So he showed up drunk a lot, didn't he?
It got to the point where he was a prick, and it was like they just brought him on there to be, to be drunk.
Well, that's why people invited him on, because he was always drunk, and they would get ratings because they know Oliver Reed's going to be on, and that's why they did it, I guess. But it was a shame really because he's a really good actor, Oliver Reed.
He was.
When you saw him in his prime, he's a really good actor.
Except in Condor Man, he wasn't very good.
He was all right in Condor Man. Come on.
No, he was a terrible villain. He was terrible. You could tell he was there for the money.
Condor Man was one of the first, I think, one of the first Disney superhero films, wasn't it?
That was one of the great disappointments of me going to the movies. I was only about friggin' 6, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch it." And I remember seeing Michael Crawford. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go see Michael Crawford. It's like this is very good. He's not very.
But what was I going to say? Who was the girl in that? I remember the girl being gorgeous. Who was the girl in that? I can't remember the girl, but she was lovely. I don't know.
She
Condor Man takes me back a bit. Condor Man. I think I had that on VHS as well.
I have that on. I have it on DVD.
Oh dear, I used to have it on VHS, and it got
It doesn't
destroyed.
hold up. It
No.
doesn't hold up. It's like one of those ones where he's it's like, oh, actually, if you've ever seen, like, if you remember the intro to Condor Man, it starts with an animation.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And it's this old guy. Somehow it's suddenly turns into this old guy who's getting dressed up into this suit, and it's probably some of the best animation I've ever seen for a Disney film. And like, it only lasts like, probably about half a minute, if that, and then it's like, I wish the whole film was like that.
Yeah, that awful American accent Crawford puts on in the whole of the film, it's just a bit whiny. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Who was the girl?
That woman was called Barbara Carrera. And she was a Nicaraguan, I can't even say that right. Nicaraguan American model and actress.
She was in James
Never Say
Bond,
Never
right?
Again.
Never Say Never. She was gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
That's another underrated film. Never Say Never Again. I like that one.
Did you like it? I thought it was okay. I only liked it because
it's nice to see an old Bond. Yeah. Oh, well, that's yeah. It wouldn't have worked without him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a remake.
Yeah. I also like the villain as well. The Klaus, what was his name? The guy who played I can't remember the villain.
Was it
no. He played the main villain, Klaus someone. He
one played on the boat.
Yes, he played. Oh no, it wasn't Domino. Domino was the girl, wasn't it?
Kim
anyway,
Basinger.
Yeah, Kim Basinger. Kim Basinger looked really good in that film. To tell you the truth, she was quite horny in that film. To tell you,
horny.
Yeah, I thought she was horny. I really did thought she was horny. She was lovely, absolutely lovely. I did like the bike chase.
I thought she was horny.
Oh God, yeah. What you remember? Don't you remember that bit where she's doing the ballet in the ballet room?
Yeah.
I mean, what? Yeah, she had a great body. She looked cool. The blonde hair and everything. You don't think watching Kim Basinger, even when she was in the prime?
I was never ever even in Batman. I never thought she was.
No, in Batman,
the greatest actress.
I didn't think much.
She was never the great. That really should have gone to Sean Young. I think that would have worked for Sean Young.
Yeah, maybe.
And I mean, she still holds a gripe to this day about that.
But Sean Young, she didn't age well, did she? I don't think.
No, she put on a lot of weight. But she also, I've had my run in with Miss Young, but she, but I'll tell you that off air. But but she's very bitter.
Yeah, sounds like it.
She doesn't. She's another one that doesn't give a shit about what's happened in the past, sort of thing. As far as whatever she says. She doesn't care if it affects her career or whatever. She says that working with
Harrison Ford.
No, the director.
Oh, Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. She said he only put her in the film, and you can actually you can see it's in the interviews anyway.
Yeah.
He only put her in the film because he wanted to have her as his own,
yes.
sort of thing. And you can see, and because she rejected it, and she's actually stated this, because she rejected him, he did a lot of nude scenes, and they had Harrison Ford beat her around a bit.
Wow.
You know how they have that really rough sex scene?
Yeah, really push
like they did bring it back in the film, but they took it out originally.
Yeah.
And she's all naked and everything, like, semi-naked and all that sort of thing. That was sort of like, as far as she's concerned, that was revenge.
Oh, that's not good.
No, well, that's public knowledge anyway, but that's how she, and I mean, she
looked good in.
She should have had a great career. She should have had a better career.
But she looked good in, was it that one with Jim Carrey where he played Ace Ventura? She looked good in Ace Ventura.
The one that's impolitically correct now.
Yes, yeah.
People get very upset by that shower scene now. Do you see that?
She looked good though in that film, didn't she?
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. She looked really good.
No, she was a really hot chick through to the mid-90s.
Yeah,
And then, like, you know, and I mean, she was in another movie with Matt. I can't remember his name, Matt something, and it was an absolute bomb of a film. And she played twins. I don't know if you've seen
I
this,
don't
but
know that one.
he killed the sister, and then she showed up as her twin sister, and
do you know what? Right, during that period, they had some really great looking actresses. Do you remember that one that was in Stakeout? Do you remember the actress that was in Stakeout?
Yeah.
And she was in Revenge as well with Kevin Costner. And she was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I can't remember her name.
Not Rosie O'Donnell, is it?
No, not that was the second one. What's wrong with you? But what was her name? She was gorgeous. God, what was her name? I can't remember her name, but they had some really great, and she was also in 12 Monkeys as well, wasn't she? She was in 12 Monkeys as well.
Yes.
And she was everywhere at one point and suddenly disappeared off the face of the earth. And I don't know what she did.
You know, it's funny how what it's like you and I though. Like we have things common in that, you know, like it depends where life takes you, you know.
Yeah.
1 minute you could be on top of the world and the next minute, you know, Madeline Stowe, is it?
That's it. Oh, that's the one. Bloody hell. She is gorgeous. And we're going to also talk about Jennifer Connelly because I know that you like Jennifer Connelly. Jennifer Connelly started off in Labyrinth, which she was quite young.
Didn't.
Oh, did she not?
She didn't. No, she was in a Dario Argento movie.
Oh, was she? Oh, I did not know that.
Is it Suspiria? I think it's Suspiria.
No.
Or it might be. It might be. No, not Phobia. What's it called?
She must have been really young then. If she was in that film.
Yeah. It was just before. It was before Labyrinth. I'm just trying to think.
Was she in her teens when she did Labyrinth? Was she in her teens?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was. I have always had a crush on Jennifer Connelly.
And then she was in Rocketeer.
It broke off. Don't even get started on that. I went straight home and drew a picture of her as soon as I come back home from that movie, and I was going to send it to her and say how much I loved her. And then I saw it, and then I ran into the picture that I drew.
Yeah.
And I like a few years later, and I thought, oh my God, she looks like a fucking man. And it was like, I wasn't a very good artist back then, but I was just like, oh, I'm glad I didn't send that to her. Holy shit. But no, Labyrinth was sort of the beginning, but yeah, Rocketeer was sort of like the peak. And then Dark City was like the last great film that she was in, because I saw her in that Battle Angel Alita, which I liked.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen it.
But it sort of broke my heart when I saw her in that, because she looked anorexic. She didn't look
she's
very
gaunt,
well.
isn't she? She's very gaunt.
Yeah, she did not look very well in that film
and
at all.
Her cheekbones are really, she looks like she doesn't
pronounced now.
Yeah.
No. Well, she's on with that guy that plays Vision, isn't she? Phenomena.
Oh, gosh,
That's the name of the movie. And she did that in 1985. And Labyrinth was 1986.
Did she not play Betty Ross in the
Hulk?
Ang Lee? The Hulk. Ang Lee's
she did.
version.
Yeah, she kind of. Yeah, she started to actually look like the other one that ended up playing Betty Ross in the next one.
Yeah, Liz, the one that has the rock star father. What
yeah.
I can't remember her name. Oh my God, we're so terrible with names, aren't we? It's ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous.
I know who you mean. You mean.
Yeah, she's lovely as well. They're both lovely. In fact, they're both lovely.
Oh, have you met them?
No, I've seen them in films. I can contest that they're both lovely.
I was going to say, can you give me their address? I'll make sure that Jennifer Connelly goes out for a nice meal.
Yeah, would be nice, wouldn't it?
Get some pat on that.
I mean, Jennifer Connelly, she's she had a huge hit in I think it was Japan, record wise.
Yeah, she never ever heard that, did she? Until she was on that Graham Norton show.
Yeah.
I ran into a friend of mine when I was studying graphic design, and he said, "Oh, who do you like?" And I said, "Oh, I like Jennifer Connelly." He's like, "Oh yeah, she did a Japanese song," and I'm like, "What?" And then he said, yeah, because at the time in the early 90s, late 80s, because he was huge into the girl from Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park. She was in Tremors as well.
What's her name? The blonde
another
girl.
one with terrible name. Yeah. And it's like he really liked her, and she'd also done a Japanese
song as well.
Song. Yeah, because the Japanese aren't scared to, capitalize on young girls.
Right.
Let's just say that. And so, they sell really well. If you've seen a lot of the Japanese dance singing girls and all that sort of thing, they're all very, very young. Yes. And also if something happens, like if they're found to be unfaithful or something like that, they are actually ostracized and they'll lose their careers completely.
Yeah.
If they're found to be, dating someone, they will lose their careers completely, because men there just love them so much that even though they're not in a relationship with them, they feel like they are.
Same thing happened with Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan, when he was in his prime, when he was huge, he wasn't allowed to tell people that he was dating someone. He wasn't allowed to be seen with a woman because he had so many fans that they would just disown him if they did fight. And then obviously now he's at age, and now I think he's married or something like that. It's fine. Everybody still hails Jackie Chan as Jackie Chan, Jackie
Chan will always be a classic stuntman to me, like actor. But the thing is, though, I think to the point where it'll all come out at the end. But I know for a fact that because of all the injuries and everything that he's had, over the years, the painkillers and the alcohol hasn't helped.
No, but he has to stop sooner or later because he is of age now. I saw he's gonna. Yeah, did you see the last film he made, The Foreigner, which was
yes, I did. I actually liked that one.
Yeah, I did
like that one.
And also another thing that I've noticed about Jackie Chan,
it's called The Chinaman. It's actually called The Chinaman in the book.
Yeah, but the thing I like about Jackie Chan now, especially in The Foreigner, is that his performance was quite moving as a father that lost his daughter. So you can tell that he's
he couldn't go and save her, could he? No.
Yeah. He has perfected his performance now when it comes to, not only does he know how to fight, but when it comes to actually reacting to actors and stuff, that he's gotten a lot better at it because of age, I guess. So
I was watching a movie that he did called The Protector.
Oh, that was the 80s, right?
And like he's in America, right? I don't know if you remember this.
I've seen it.
He's in America, and he's like driving with his like it's like his mate, the policeman's, his second, and he's like he's going, oh, today's the 10th anniversary of the time I come to America, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Who was his partner? It was someone well known, wasn't it? The guy that was with him. He was the guy that was in Leon. You know the film Leon?
Yes.
So basically the guy that looked after Leon, the actor that looked after Leon in the film, he was Jackie Chan's partner in The Protector. It was him. Do you know what I mean? So
was that made in France or something? Was it?
It was made
in America.
No, it was his very first American movie. It's the very first time I know Jackie Chan. I think so.
No, because you know why? He was in Cannonball Run too.
Well, I think that was after. It was after it. I think. No. Okay.
Cannonball Run 2 was his first American.
Okay,
ever.
All right. But he did one called Battle in the Bronx, but that wasn't in America. That was in I think Canada or something like that.
No. That was done in Melbourne, Australia.
There you go. See, there you go. It wasn't in America at all.
It was done in Melbourne, Australia. I used to go down that street, and I was like, bloody hell, what are you making this in friggin' Australia for? I was like, what?
It's really funny because some movies you don't notice, like Death Wish 5, I think, was shot in England. For America, Death Wish 5. You know, and it was all these British people trying to put American accents and stuff. It was quite funny. So yeah, no,
they can't do it. They just can't do it.
No,
Hey, Demon Scythe, how are you, mate? I got demons.
He's not the Messiah.
He's not the Messiah. Right, yeah. No, I'm not the Messiah. No. I don't even like Monty Python. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know, me and you grew up in an age where it was all right to fancy women. It was all right to look at women and admire the beauty and their form and stuff like that. And you know, as I said,
didn't care when I was a kid. I didn't care until, you know, as soon as you hit puberty, though, far out, you know. But nowadays, I don't think any kid would be turned on by any movie star.
You know what? The first person I actually fancied, and I'm a lot older than you,
Sigourney Weaver.
No, it wasn't. Ooh. It was Lindsay Wagner. Lindsay Wagner I fancied when I was a kid.
Bionic Woman.
Yes. Yep. And then Linda Carter after that, for obvious reasons for Linda Carter.
Yeah,
I liked Lindsay Wagner because she came across as innocent, you know, the kind of girl that's like next door and stuff like that. But she had a bionic arm and a bionic ear. But I really liked how vulnerable she was in the show, and she looked very vulnerable, and that kind of attracted me to her. But Linda Carter was completely different. Different reason why I fancied her, because Linda Carter was gorgeous. She had those breasts, she had that thin waist. You know, she was just absolutely gorgeous, and you know, and as a kid, you don't realize why you're moving. She
should have had a career beyond Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it was the time, wasn't it?
And that's another thing, you know. That's like, yeah, it's just one of those things. But
Sigourney Weaver was another one of my crushes as well. Yeah. I think he's frozen. He's gone.
I remember I crush when you're a kid, you sort of like when you're like, you know, like 10 or whatever, you do have like a kid that's like you have a crush on, you know, on television. And mine was sort of like Marmalade Atkins.
No.
Yes.
No. Charlotte, what's her name? What's her name, Charlotte?
Yeah, the one from Wurzel Gummidge.
Yeah. Oh,
and no. I was like, oh, she's fucking hot. But I was like,
I had a crush on Stacey Dornan when she was in Black Beauty. I don't know if they had a show called Black Beauty over there. And there was Stacey Dornan. She was. I had a crush on her as well. And don't even talk to me about Jenny Agutter. Oh my God, Jenny Agutter.
Oh, I just saw a video clip of her in American Werewolf. And I was just like, no, she's so nice naked.
Do you know what?
Not anymore.
I had to sit with my dad watching American Werewolf in the cinema, and there came that scene where they're in the shower, and I was so uncomfortable because I was sitting right next to my dad. Sitting there going,
I used to have the same problem when I used to watch Game of Thrones with my mum.
I'd be like,
she'd be like, "Are they brother and sister?" I'd be like. Yeah,
it's not good, is it? But as I said, it just goes to show how far we've come when it comes to sexuality, and you know, and you know, they call it the male gaze, which I really don't understand, because if you're a male and you gaze at something, you're going to do it anyway, you know. So why is this deemed as so bad? I don't know, you know, unless you're you know, being really rude, kind of thing. What's Demon got to say for himself?
Yeah, Matt said, saw the Ghostbusters episode of the movies that made us on Netflix, and Sigourney looked amazing back then. Strangely, I didn't fancy her at the time. I didn't either.
But you know what? At that moment in time, right, there was no such thing as the internet. So when you saw pictures of Sigourney, it would be in magazines, it would be in film magazines. And there was one shot of her I remember as a kid, and I thought she looked gorgeous. She was sitting like this, and she had one hand on her knee, and she was wearing this dress. Yes, and I thought, my God, this woman is gorgeous. I thought to myself.
Yeah, I've got something to admit.
If it's rude, don't.
No. I wasn't really aware of Sigourney Weaver, right? I knew that she was in Ghostbusters and that, but I remember seeing, because I was totally unaware of Aliens, and when I went to the video shop and I saw the cover of Aliens, and it had her with a gun with the little girl. Yeah. And I was like, first thing I thought was, why is Michael Jackson in a film?
All right. Yeah.
Because it looked like Michael Jackson. She looked like I can't remember, it was painted. It was like photoshopped, but it just looked like Michael Jackson. So I was like, well, why is Michael Jackson in this film? So I never got it. I never watched it because I didn't know it was a.
Do you know what? I didn't fancy her in Aliens. They cut her hair and it looked really short and stuff like that. But I think she looked more feminine in Alien, as far as I was concerned, more so
very
than
much
Alien.
so.
Yeah.
No shit. And I mean, even her in her younger years, when she was in a college, I mean, she was a stunner. She was absolutely stunning.
But she was hot in Ghostbusters.
Oh, absolutely. But like, I actually liked her before she turned into a dog. But
yeah.
But when she was wearing that dress and that, I didn't really fancy her because the possessed her. I actually like her before she was possessed. She just seemed more friendly and natural.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that was the point. That was the point of the film. I mean, I love Ghostbusters to a fault. I mean, I got into an argument with Dan about this new one. The fact is that I don't like it. The fact that it's got kids in it.
I have to agree with you. I'm a bit like this on the new Ghostbusters. I hope it's good, but as I said, it's called Ghostbusters, and I want to see the Ghostbusters. That's
Matt, stop playing with your Rodimus, all right? But I will watch it. I mean, I never watched that abomination that Answer the Call to me. But the thing is, though, this is where it all started for me because I never really. I mean, yes, you had. Spider-Man all of a sudden became black and all this sort of thing. And I was like, if they do their own thing, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I was really looking forward to this, even though I knew it was all females, Ghostbusters. I was looking forward to it. I couldn't wait to get home to watch the trailer. I was like, they're going to have the trailer. Well, and it was one of the worst fucking trailers I've ever seen.
It was.
You've seen terrible. That too.
Yeah,
it was the worst cut one. And I was just like, what the hell are they going for here? And then I looked all online, and this is where it all started. It was just the fact that, holy shit, they're taking the piss out of men.
Yeah.
It's like, why? There's no need for it. It's like so long are gone are the days of Carry On, just, slap and tickle, that sort of thing. Now we're sort of like below the food chain, so to speak.
Yeah, well, as I said, if you look at films like Long Kiss Goodnight and Aliens and stuff like that, that's when they did it right. They had the balance perfect with Aliens. Sigourney Weaver was the heroine in that thing, but the men weren't demeaned, were they? They were there to help, and especially Hicks. Hicks at the end, he couldn't do anything because he had all those burns and stuff, and so Ripley had to go and
he
get sort of mute.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I never ever thought, she's taking over and that.
What did
thing,
I? Yeah.
And she never ever, said had a go at well, they had little jokey bits about the guys and girls, it was like, that famous one about, has anyone ever mistaken you for a man? It's there's that sort of thing where, you just go, well, okay.
Yeah, but it was Hudson that said that, right? Hudson.
Yeah.
But Hudson was a bit of an idiot anyway, all the way through it.
He was a psychopath in the fact that he's one of those ones that was all for it and then all of a sudden's against it.
Because he realized he realized the situation that he was in, that there was a no-win situation, and he panicked a lot, didn't he, Hudson? But I mean, Hicks was very, very cool, and he showed Ripley how to use the pulse rifle, didn't he? He taught how to use the rifle and stuff like that. You'll never get that today. Men are not allowed to teach women anything in any film. So it worked. Because both male and female worked hand in hand to combat the situation that they were in. But you get some of the films today, it's just about women conquering and putting men down, which doesn't seem to make any sense to me.
I've just invited Matt on, by the way, so he might come on. But Matt, check your Twitter. But there was, that you've got all these things happening with, people not liking, the fact that men are. I mean, you've got no men to look up to nowadays. You've got, that sort of thing, and you just go, well, I don't know how kids are going to grow up nowadays.
No,
we're starting to see it now. We're starting to see these early 2000s where they stopped smacking them and all those sort of things. They stopped. They started mollycoddling them and like putting them in cotton wool and that sort of thing. And we're starting to see this where they're becoming if some of them are becoming quite effeminate. And they're
and they end up screaming as well. So for instance, if they don't get
if they're upset,
for instance, if you're having a discussion with them or an argument with them and you basically tell them a fact, they don't want to accept that fact. They end up screaming, I don't want to hear that, blah blah. And you're like, what you can't talk to me, civil? What is wrong with you? They don't want to accept reality. That's their problem.
No, they only want to see a certain point of view, and that's it.
And they think,
they're not willing to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it's where we're going.
Because they've been handed it. They've been handed it. So therefore, they want what they want.
Yeah, but it is what it is. And the thing is, though, I think what we're doing is very important. I think what other people in the same length as us actually speaking about it, the more we speak about it, the more chances that it will get out there and other people and normies will realize what's going on. Therefore, people will see it for what it is.
Well, I'll be the first one to admit that I was a normie,
Same here.
Maybe I just didn't see it. I wasn't looking for it. But now that you see it, it's like they live.
Yeah, exactly. You can't unsee it. Yeah,
you can't. Yeah. You just
and
have
I
to
haven't
see it
even got
everywhere.
Any bubble gum either. Do you know what I mean? I ain't got no bubble gum, so I've not come here to chew gum. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that's the thing about responsibility, isn't it? That you see these things. If you don't speak up about it, then you're just as guilty as the people that are just trying to shove it into this stuff. So it's really important that I'm glad the Phantom Menace exists. I'm glad that there are people like you who want to talk about it, and Dan, and and stuff like that. Because as I said, the more you speak about it, the more people realize that's what's going on. They can't stop us from doing that.
But then you kind of see the opposite, where you see people using it to their advantage.
Yes. And
you kind of see them overdoing it.
Yes.
And you can see that they're pandering.
Yes.
And I'm not a panderer at all.
But
and you aren't either. But I'm just saying that it's.
But Matt, with everything, right, you can't have an up without a down. You can't have a heads without a tails. You know what I mean? So anything good, you're always going to have something bad. So anything that you're trying to create is good. Like for instance, with us, we're talking from our heart. And we're saying this, whatever. You'll always get some idiot that will take advantage of the situation and turn it to their advantage, which is, I guess, just life. So I'm not surprised that you've got people in the Phantom Menace that argue with other people. Because they're not getting many likes or they're not getting many clicks or you know what I mean and stuff like that. I'm not surprised that's happening because that's just human nature, isn't it? So, but it is bad. People should check themselves before they wreck themselves. As the old saying goes. That's the thing. But it is what it is at the end of the day, right? So we can only speak out for what we believe, right? That's all we can do.
Yeah, well, really. That's it. And it's like everybody's got to have a voice, don't they?
Yeah,
it's so hard to scream out because I used to be hated. I used to do this all on Facebook all the time, and people go, "Why are you like?" I used to meet up with artists as well, and it'd be really silly, stupid things, Ian, where you'd meet up with them, and the first thing they'd say is, "Oh, well, I believe that," and this actually happened to me.
Mm.
I met up with this fella who was a really good artist and everything. And he was sort of like nervous to meet me, which was crazy. But when I met up with him, the first thing he said was that I believe that all artists are cat people.
Really?
And I said, yeah. And I said, well, I'm a dog person.
Yeah.
and that was it. There was no more. There was like, oh, well, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in getting to know you, It's like, but just because you blow their theory out of the water, it's crazy.
Well, as Clint
said,
it's what they want to hear, and if you're not telling them what they want to hear, that's the way it goes, I guess. Hey, Blue Bonnet. I actually miss her streams. I miss her streams. Blue Bonnet.
I do
streams.
too.
I
miss
streams,
yours too. I do.
It's a shame. It's a shame that she stopped.
Well, she's still doing that. Star Trek. I don't blame her at all, because sometimes they just get a bit like I mean, it's the same thing with like having a YouTube channel and you've got to have like topics every day, and sometimes you're just going around in circle because you're just like repeating yourself. And I mean, I respect Blue in that, she's not, because some people do. I mean, you have to look at it a lot of the time. If they're doing a daily or 3-4 times a day, they're starting to sound the same.
That's
so
true.
You just skip through to the good bits.
Yeah. No, but I totally enjoyed the streams that she was involved in, and
I love the master one, by the way, Blue. I absolutely love the Blue. I actually listened to that while I was at work on a Saturday, and you really made my day like go through quick.
Yeah, so if you are watching, you should come back. That's all I can say. You should come back and do some more.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why you've become a little bit distant from the whole. Yeah, I know you're just recovering. Yeah, I can understand that totally.
Yeah,
because it's like it's just.
She's saying she will come back. Apparently.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
She's just recovering. She says, which is
recovering from COVID. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. We've been lucky. And this is another thing that really irritates me, Ian, is the fact that not to get off the topic of movies, but like because it's been great for like to watch a lot of cool movies like Outbreak. If you've
Oh God, no.
With that monkey, we're gonna track the monkey.
Yeah. I think that was
Dustin Hoffman
trying to be an action hero. That's what it was. Yeah.
And Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone, yeah. Sharon Stone was another gorgeous girl. Another gorgeous girl.
She still is. She was on Tinder,
Yeah, she still is. She's lovely. She's good. She's
Did you hear she was on? She was on Tinder, and they and all the people, all the guys, started.
Really? Why would she need to be on Tinder?
Well, this is it. They actually put her on. They actually wrote to Tinder and said that she's fake, and it was really her.
It was really her.
And she said, "Why couldn't I be, using Tinder?" And it's like, well, you're Sharon Stone.
I never saw her on Tinder. Where is she on Tinder?
You have to be in her vicinity.
All right. Okay.
I didn't mean that to be rude either.
But no, I mean, it is what it is. And I said that Sharon Stone is a good actress. She proved in Casino, she was a good actress. She got nominated, I think, for Casino, didn't she? So she is a very good actress. She looks absolutely spectacular in that.
She was in that
film. What was that film with
King
Sylvester
Solomon's
Stallone?
Mines?
That. But Sylvester Stallone. What was that film with Sylvester Stallone? She was in.
Oh, Assassins.
It wasn't Assassins. No, it was the one
Scissor?
where No, I tell you who the villain was in it. James Woods. James Woods was the villain in it, and he had to protect her or something. There's that bit in the church where she meets up with Sylvester Stallone, and I thought, she's lovely. But I can't remember what it was called. God, we're so awful. I'm so old. I can't remember.
Basic Instinct 2.
No, it wasn't that one.
There's what's she done?
Look up Sylvester Stallone.
Casino, The Mighty, The Muse, Slither, The Specialist.
That's it, The Specialist.
Yeah, The Specialist.
She looked really good in that. She looked absolutely fantastic in that film. And don't forget, she was in Total Recall as well. Got shot in the head.
Oh, she was great in Total Recall.
Consider this a divorce, he says.
I never even realized that was a that was supposed to be all a dream.
Yeah.
Until I watched the DVD extras, and I was like, okay, yeah. Oh, that sort of ruins it for me now, because I was like, I hate these bloody movies where, like, you go through the whole thing and then they didn't happen. They're all a dream.
But that's one thing I hated about a film called Next, which starred Nicolas Cage. Do you know about that film? You can see 3 minutes into the future, or 2 minutes into the future, and the ending was really crap. Well, I don't know.
It's great when they have a really good film and then, like, all of a sudden they crap out at the end. It's a really crappy ending.
He wanted to play Iron Man, didn't he, at one point? And I'm glad they got Robbie Downey Jr.
Superman.
Well, he didn't even get there, did he? He got the costume and everything and he didn't get almost, yeah. But,
Sharon Stone was in Quick and the Dead.
She was, yeah.
As well.
She looked great in that.
Yeah, she was with Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe, one of Russell Crowe's first acting roles. He was in a movie called Romper Stomper, and then I think he went into that Quick and the Dead, but I think he was in Virtuosity as well with Denzel Washington.
Quick and the Dead was directed by Sam Raimi, wasn't it?
It was. He's got a new film coming out. Have you seen this one, Ian?
Well, which one's this one? I know he's directing Doctor Strange.
He's producing it. He's it's about a boy in a house, and there's a witch, and she kidnaps him, and she takes him because she's going to kill him, and then she said, "Oh, what can you offer me?" And he said, "Oh, I can tell you scary stories." And then she whisks him off to a library there's a little black girl in it. and they try to escape. So the whole story is about them trying to escape. And I'm like, really?
Hey, listen, Matt, I'm going to go for a piss because I'm dying for a pee. I'll be back in a minute, right?
Okay.
You'll have to talk amongst yourself.
I will keep talking. Actually, I've got some pickups to go through, so I will.
All right.
Go pee.
I'll be back in a minute.
All right. Hey, Blue, how you going? Yeah, you love Sam Raimi too. We were talking about Spider-Man earlier. Spider-Man 2, actually. And, we were a bit annoyed that, he was taking his mask off all the time in front of people. Which is annoying, It's like, well, why would you protect your identity and then want to show it off to everybody? But Spider-Man 2 is a really, really good film. It is really good. You'd have to have seen that, surely. But I just I wanted to show some pickups that I've got while Ian's having a piss. So here we go. Yes, Alfred Molina. Yeah, he was in Raiders of the Lost Ark as well. Yeah, the mask. Why do they need to take their masks off all the time? It really irritates me. I know they're famous actors, but I don't really care about. I just want to see the actual character. I don't really care so much about the thing. But this is a pickup that I've got called Damagin. I got this from the UK early on in the week, and it's a it's sort of like Godzilla, but he's an evil god that people actually protect, and he actually protects them as well. And so it's like a trilogy. It's Japanese, of course. Yeah, it is cool. But I was actually going to watch it tonight, and I decided to stream. So I'm back. My dog's trying to get out. Anyway, so I was thinking I might do this on a weekly basis, stream every Saturday. I'm trying not to tread on any toes because I know so many other people like Doctor Who Chat and PJ Maybe and everybody all stream at the same time. So I kind of want to shake things up a bit, and yeah, it's all going to work, I'm sure. But anyway, so I don't know if anyone's a Christopher Lee fan, but I have 3 Christopher Lee movies that I got this week too, and that is Dracula, 1972. So he wakes up in 1972, and then I got The Taste of the Blood of Dracula, which is a periodical as well, and then I think this is actually, besides Dracula, this is what he ended up doing. There we go. Curse of Frankenstein. He also played Frankenstein's monster in that one. But this is the weird thing. These 2 are the only ones with Peter Cushing in. So yeah. But I've got those. I got them this week. We're back, thank God. God, I'm terrible at filling time.
Sorry about that.
No,
that's okay.
Yeah, I don't. You got to pee. You got to pee. I know what it's like.
I just want to know how you survived getting that idol, because those arrows and stuff. And I don't know how you got that idol. How did you miss all those arrows and stuff?
Money box.
The money box.
He's pretty light. He's pretty light. He's got nothing in it. Because the stupid thing is, Ian, like, they make these fucking money boxes, right? But they make them in different countries as well. So they make them for their money.
Yeah.
And if you've ever, I don't know, have you ever been to Australia?
No.
We have some of the biggest shrapnel in the world. And so you can fit them in there, but you can't take them out of the hole at the bottom because they're too small. And it's like, and I tell you what, sometimes I've done it and I've not even thought about it. And then when I've gone to get the money out, I'm there with a pair of tweezers trying to pull it out of the top.
That's
I'm
not
like,
good.
oh man,
That's
no,
not good at all.
no.
I think
But
I've got a C3PO money box, but that's about it really. C3PO one, but that's a really good. I should get one of them though. They're really good, because if I didn't know any better, it actually looks like the one they used. I know.
I was really surprised by how good it looked. You know, I mean, I didn't even. But the weird thing is, like, it's funny because when you see this in the film, you don't really think that that's a baby coming out.
No, no, you don't.
And then when you see it up close, you're like, fuck, that's an ugly thing coming. It's an ugly dick.
But that's her boobs, right? Isn't it?
That's her boobs. She's a fertility idol,
right?
And there's I'm playing with her boobs now, but she's it's really weird. It's like it's got this weird face on it.
But yeah, that's weird. But are you sure that's what was actually what Indiana Jones handled?
You know what? It's very close. It's very close. But the other one actually had it's not the other one was more, film based. But it I don't know, and I didn't even realize this, but the eyes in the Raiders was actually real eyes. Well, they were glass eyes. Yeah, they were actually glass eyes, and they were actually following him around the room, but you never actually saw it in the film. And I'm like, really? I'm reading this information, and I'm like, I don't remember that. And then I'm looking, and I'm going, oh yeah, I could see that those eyes could actually look, follow him around the room.
I've got to get the 4K. I haven't got the 4K yet because
I've got it.
Out, isn't it?
I've got it. I haven't watched it. I know that they changed it because if you remember when they released I think it was the Blu-rays.
Yeah, I got the Blu-rays.
Yeah, when they released the Blu-rays, they changed it to Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes, they did. Yeah,
but it's gone back. It's gone back to the 4K one now, where it's Raiders. But I mean, I'm one of these apologists where I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Oh. I know. Yeah, look, I know. It's all right. It's weird. I've seen it twice, right?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that don't like that film, and a lot of people hated it, but I went and saw it, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what they're complaining about. It's actually pretty good. So I went and saw it again, and I picked up on a lot more, and I was like, okay, yep. But there was that scene, where everybody doesn't like the fridge, right? Nuke the fridge, But it's the fact that Ian, he goes to this place that's going to be fucking atomic bombed, right? What else are you going to do?
No, it's
How
not.
else are you going to survive?
No, but it's not the fact that he went into a fridge. It's the fact that he survived. That the whole house blew up, and he went millions of miles in the sky, and he hits the ground, and he's still alive. That's just stupid, And I know they've done that in other. I know they've done that other Indiana Jones films as well.
He drops out in a raft in a friggin' plane.
Yeah, I know that, but that was stupid as well. But the thing is, though, I think it had more stupid moments in the last film than it had in Temple of Doom, Raiders, and Last Crusade. So, I didn't like the aliens thing. I thought that was very stupid.
No, I mean, it's not the best Indiana Jones film.
No, it's not.
But a lot of people, actually, it's probably the worst. But
it is.
But to me, just agree with me, we.
Okay.
but it's just the fact that to me, it wasn't franchise killing.
Yeah, and
to me, it was just another story, okay? And now they're doing another one. Okay, yeah, he's getting a bit old and everything now. But to me, it's just another story. You can watch it, you can read it as you can, like if it's a book, you can skip it, whatever. But it's just another story. I mean, okay, it's got aliens in it, but I don't really, and it's got that actress I really can't stand in it. Kate.
Which one?
Kate.
Is she Australian?
Yeah, she is, unfortunately. Yeah, she's sort of like one of those.
She's got a very hard face. Her face is quite hard.
Yeah, she's very bony. She's very bony.
Yeah.
She's
as I said, I love the Indiana Jones movies. I didn't like the last one, and I'm probably not going to like the next one either. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well,
for me, it ended Crusade. Crusade was the last one, in my opinion. I love that.
You know what? That was. See, the weird thing is, Temple of Doom was my first Indiana Jones film. So in the cinema, when I went and saw that, to me, that was Indiana Jones, Very and then dark. When I saw, and it's one of my favorite ones. And so, it was just the fact that when I saw that, and then I went back to watch Raiders, I didn't know it was a prequel, but it worked well. It worked well for being, Temple of Doom and then Raiders and then, Last Crusade. But I felt Last Crusade, it's grown on me over years, but I just never really, it was probably my least favorite out of all the three.
Right. I like all of them.
Of them. Indiana Jones is one of the best characters ever created.
He is.
It's like if you can't have James Bond, then
Indiana Jones,
It's one of those things where, I was looking at that film, The Kingdom Crystal Skull, and I was like, it was kind of one of those things where, they were even talking about having Natalie Portman play his daughter or whatever. And I think that could have worked. Yeah, well, that could have worked. And especially at that time, it possibly, they'd done it with Lara Croft and all that sort of thing anyway. And I couldn't really see her, running around in a hat and a whip.
No, I couldn't either.
but I thought she was terrible in Star Wars prequels. Yeah, I thought she was.
Well, she didn't get directed, did she? George Lucas doesn't know how to direct, so he just let them do what and you get up and down performances. But it would have been great if Natalie Portman did play his daughter. That would have added a different dimension to the whole thing. And I don't mind. Nobody can accuse me of being against female leads because I've made films with female leads in it. So, but Natalie Portman being Indiana Jones's daughter, that would have made a lot of sense instead of Shia LaBeouf, whatever his name is. I thought Shia LaBeouf was terrible in that film.
I also thought that was bad, but then I thought, well, because I'd seen him in Transformers, and I was like, it gave me a little bit of hope. that first Transformers film gave me a
It
little
was
bit of
all
hope
right.
for
Yeah, the
his
first one
actor.
was okay.
Yeah. Except for the sequel with the balls, the metal balls, was a bit too weird for me. You know, the backside. I was like, oh, really? You're going that direction?
I did like there was a film called Eagle Eye that he was in, and Spielberg produced that one. I liked that one. It was
remember
okay.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the ones he did straight after Transformers, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was Anthony Mackie was in it. He was in it as well, and also Michel, the one that was in who played no, the one who played Tom Cruise's wife in Mission Impossible 3 or 4, whatever it was.
I haven't actually seen that. I haven't seen.
All right.
I haven't seen 3 and 4, and I haven't seen 5 or 6.
Yeah, all right.
You know what? 2.
The last 2 are really good. If you ever get the chance to watch them, they're really, really good. And
I'm not
a
Tom Cruise fan.
Even though Tom Cruise is a bit, I don't know, but he makes great action films, and those films are really good. So yeah.
Really, I like the first one, you know, and I was like, but that second one was just like an utter waste. I was just I'll tell
you the films that I recommend, Matt. So basically, I recommend Free Guy, which I thought was worth my time.
Tell me, so you enjoyed it then?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it immensely. It was a lot of fun. As I said, if you don't like Ryan Reynolds, then don't go and see it.
No, see, I mean, I watch it. I watch it.
Yeah.
Like I watched Deadpool 2, you know, and I watched Deadpool as well. Yeah. But the thing that turned me off that film wasn't Ryan Reynolds. It was Taka Waititi.
Oh yeah, I got to admit.
And he irritates me something shocking where I just want to go to the toilet, you know. And it's just he doesn't.
I got to admit, he's one of the characters I didn't like in that.
When
film.
I saw him in Suicide Squad, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
exactly.
And then like I was like, oh well, that's it. Good. I don't have to hear him, don't have to see him, and that. And then all of a sudden, like at the end, you know, of the Suicide Squad, where he fucking shows up, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I hate him. Other than that, you know.
Yeah, I recommend that. I recommend a film I saw on Amazon as well called Monsters of Men. Have you seen that one?
No.
Right, so it's
free
on
Amazon. Right.
Mm-hmm. And basically what it's about it's set in Cambodia, and the government sends in these 3 robots in to eliminate these drug runners that's in Cambodia. But there are doctors that are basically going out there to help the Cambodians, and there's a ex-Marine that abandoned his thing and helping them, and these robots go out there, and because they're witnesses, the robots are programmed to kill them all. So it's just it's kind of like Chappie, you know, when they did the effects on Chappie, that film, and it's kind of like that, but they're all killer robots and they're all trying to kill people. So it's really good. It starts off slow, but it's
pretty much all the Cambodians are coming to live here now, so they're pretty safe now.
Okay, but it's really good. I recommend it. And then there's Love and Monsters, which is on Netflix. I recommend that too.
Yeah,
that's great.
I've been a little bit iffy on that one, but yeah, if you say it's good, I'll watch it.
It's worth your time.
Because this new one, Sam Raimi's supposed to be producing, that's on Netflix.
What's it called?
What is it called? It's a new one that he's supposed to be doing, and it's like it's got a funny book. It's not the one like.
Is it based on a book?
No, and I don't think it's based on a comic either.
We're so rubbish, aren't we, me and you?
Yeah, we are.
You'll be listening to us. What's it called again? Who's that person again?
He did that other one, that other horror movie. Actually, you know, it would be fun if we actually talked about movies that deserved sequels. Because one of the movies that I reckon deserves sequels was one that he did. Was a horror movie.
Go to Hell, Straight to Hell.
Yes,
that was good.
Yeah, and they never really did anything with it.
No,
it's just one of those things. You know,
although you know what, Matt, I didn't agree with what happened to the main character in that film.
No,
because you've seen it, right? Yeah, I thought it was sad what happened to that, especially at the ending. She did all that stuff to get rid of the curse, and then.
Well, yeah, I mean, they could have retrofitted it. They could have.
Well, yeah,
there's quite a few things. It's like Wreck, where that girl gets killed at the first movie, and then all of a sudden she's in the last one, and she's on a boat. And, I mean, I love those films, but I'm like, yeah, okay, you're just spinning a bit beyond belief.
That's whoever's watching that.
Is the movie coming out?
All right, that's Matt's recommendation. Wreck. If you haven't seen Wreck, the original version, which is a Spanish film, you should watch it.
Watch the sequel as well.
Yeah,
there it is. Watch the sequel. The sequel's really good, but it becomes more. It's actually probably more demonic. It becomes more demon sense. But they did bring it in the final. Like, I don't want to spoil the movie, the original movie, but they do mention it. That it's a demonic type of virus. But that's really good at these sort of times. It really is. And
right.
I kind of want to live through, because I'm watching all this stuff on television at the moment, and like in Australia, and I'm reading all this Twitter bullshit that they're writing on Twitter about how Australia's all gone down a hole because they're not going in lockdown and all this, and it's like I'm just like, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. I'm living here. I know what it's like,
But it's who's the prime minister? Is it Prime Minister of New Zealand? She was talking about Australia, wasn't she?
Yeah, she
was saying,
they got one. They got one. They've put it in lockdown, and they just had one. They put the whole country in lockdown. It's crazy. It really is. But it's stuff that I mean, they could probably take something from this when they make their next movie about, like World War Z or something like that, which they were going to make a sequel to, and they never did.
They never did. See, that fits into what you're talking about, doesn't it?
Well, actually, another movie that I really liked, and they never made a sequel because they killed off all the main characters anyway. Dead Silence. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
From the creators of Saw.
I never saw it.
It's an old lady, and she has it's about this couple, this married couple, and the wife gets sent a ventriloquist doll, and the ventriloquist doll kills her, and then
I think I've heard of it. I don't think
the guy goes and tracks down where it come from and everything, and goes home and like he finds out that his family is cursed, and that because the stupid thing is, like, his great uncle or whatever made fun of a ventriloquist lady, and and she decided to curse him, and she actually got him and turned him into a puppet, into a ventriloquist dummy, and so they hunted her down and murdered her. And her last final request was to be made into a ventriloquist dummy. But it's like one of those ones where that, like, at the end, it's similar to what was the name of the Sam Raimi one? It's very much similar to that, where you think you've won, but you haven't. And I hate movies like that, because you go along this journey, and then all of a sudden, like, it just stops.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it suddenly, what's the point? You did all that stuff, and suddenly you're back to square one. What's the point? Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It's something like Dark City. I mean, I love Dark City. Generally, and it was made in Sydney too. But it's one of the. It was Alex Proyas.
I don't know. I can't remember who directed it.
He directed The Crow. And anyway, he directed this one, and it just came out before The Matrix, but it didn't do very well, in The Matrix. And I don't like The Matrix. I don't like any of those films at all.
I thought it was all right, Matrix. Kind of liked it.
I mean, the effects were good at the time, but I never liked the story. And so, but I think Dark City was a classic. To me, that's an unnamed classic, but it had an ending.
I didn't like the ending.
Well, see, to me, it was like, well, there wasn't anything else to do. Like, he'd done everything. And and the fact is, you need to see the director's cut, not the...
well, I haven't seen the director's cut. I remember watching it.
Oh, you've never seen the director's cut?
No.
Oh man, you need to see the director's cut.
I will.
No,
I'll
it's a totally different film. No, because you know how in the first, like, it's another thing where it's been studio, it's been affected by the studio in that they made him make changes that he didn't want to make. And I mean, it's Keith Sutherland, right? And they make him do a voiceover at the beginning explaining the entire plot of the film throughout the entire. So there's no point in even watching. You may as well just go after the first 2 minutes, you know, after he's done his little monologue.
Yeah.
But they removed that completely in the directors. It's very similar to, you know, Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, there are a few changes in it that actually makes it heaps better.
I'll try and hunt it down then.
Yeah, no, it is worthwhile watching the director's cut. That's probably one of the few movies that are, you know, as a director's cut that are actually really good. Like, you know, you see stuff like, you know, like we're saying, you know, Suicide Squad and all those sort of director's cuts where they're not that good. You know, they don't really add anything to the, you know. I watched a movie actually from our friend Keith. He did an unboxing of Dawn of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
And I'd never seen that film before. I heard about it.
It's a good film.
I think I saw the remake.
Yeah.
But, I watched the box set that I got actually had the original cut. There is not a Cairns cut. Is it Cairns? What's the one that you went
Cairns.
to? I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong.
Yes, Cairns.
Yeah, you went to Cairns.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think this is the one that I actually watched, the Cairns cut, because it was an extra half hour or something.
Yeah.
And like the characters were actually more
more defined.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you know, do you find that, you know, sometimes you have to fit it in a certain amount of time, or do you just cut?
Well, when you're making the film, okay, I've only ever directed independent films, right? And in fact, I've only worked on a independent film where I didn't have control over it, only one film, and it was a horror film. So I know that was my first taste of not having control. But then again, I didn't really care about the movie when I was directing it because I was just paid to direct it. But you get the producer. It's always the producer that comes in and says, you know, I think we should change this. I think we should change that. But the thing is that they're always wrong, because when you're directing, you're very intimate with the script. And you know how each scene flows within the next scene and within the next scene, even though you're shooting it out of order. But the producer can only see one way. But they have the power, and they're the ones that are supplying the money. So if they say change something, you just throw your hands in the air and you go, okay, I'll change it because you want it to change. But what they don't realize is they're wrecking their own film because they don't understand it the way you understand it. And that's probably what's happened to a lot of films. That's why you got director's cuts.
Well, they do that with the remake, don't they? When they go to do a remake, they just totally make all the things that are wrong with the film.
Yeah, yeah, because they don't understand the material. That's their problem. And you know,
Lightning in a bottle.
Well, you know, I don't understand how what's those films called, the Resident Evil films? Because I think every one of those Resident Evil films are terrible. I think they're awful. They're flat.
First one was okay, but it had nothing to do with. None of them had nothing to do with the game.
I just think they're all flat, and you don't care about any of the characters. And every movie was the same thing, and they were huge successes. So, you know, it can work that way. But the problem is you don't get, when you, as a viewer, you don't be fulfilled with those kind of flat movies that are just shot by numbers. You know what I mean? You just watch it and you see the action, and then you leave the cinema and you forget about it. There's one film I went to see, right, called everybody knows this film, Taken, with Liam Neeson, right?
I've never seen that film.
You know, even
I know what it's about. I don't need to see it.
The producer, while they were making it, everybody was like, this is going to go straight to video. And by some miracle, it went in the cinema. And by some miracle, it was received very well. The critics hated it, but the audience loved it because it gave the audience what they wanted. Because it literally gave the audience what, you know, when you're watching that film, you wanted Liam Neeson to beat the crap out of people. You wanted Liam Neeson Do you know what I mean? So I think by default they created that, and it was an accident. That film was a huge success. So sometimes you get it that way as well.
I can never get past him in High Spirits.
Yeah.
With
he's
Peter
been in a lot of
O'Toole.
awful films.
Oh, shocking films.
He's been in a lot of awful films.
Didn't his wife hit a tree or something?
And she was a skiing accident. She died in a skiing accident.
Yeah.
She was devastated. It was absolutely devastated.
Absolutely. Because she was from actor royalty as well, wasn't she?
She was sister of a famous sister, I think, of a family. I can't remember her name.
From
Richardson. Her surname's Richardson.
No. The one that's Georgia Girl. One from Georgia Girl.
Is it Judy Richardson or Jodie Richardson or something like that? That was his wife, and she died. She died in a skiing accident, I think. But Liam Neeson's a good actor, though. That's the thing. But the thing is, he's phoning it in these days because he's getting on in age. I was watching this. I was watching this film on Amazon, a film called The Honest Thief. He was in. I watched 15 minutes of it. I just couldn't take it anymore. I just turned it off. I might revisit it again. But
that's all he's been doing is those sort of movies. He did that weird one where he was in the plane as well.
Oh yeah, non-stop.
And it was about his daughter.
Oh, that was the train. Non-stop the train. Yeah, I don't know what the one on the plane.
He's in a train. He's in a plane. He's in a tram.
Yeah.
Redgrave.
That's it. Yeah. And he did. What is it? The other one, Tombstone, something, whatever it was. Where that one was okay, I guess. Where he had to protect his son because his son did something, and the mob was after him, and he had to protect his son across the city. Can't remember what that one was called. Something Tombstone thing. That was okay.
This is another thing where they become a parody of what they they started. It's the same with you have to look at something like John Wick now, where they're just making John Wick films all the time, and they're making like what was it, Milkshake?
Oh, that's terrible. I saw that. Yeah, it's awful. Absolutely awful.
Really? That looked
was
bad.
It Gunpowder and Milkshake?
I saw the trailer for that, and I'm like, that looks extremely like hating on men.
Well, it does do that, but the worst thing about it is the action is dull, and the photography is too in your face. I hate photography that has blue, green in every shot. They have like shots where something is red in the background,
strobe lights.
Yeah, and it's just I don't like that kind of photography at all. And I knew that was the style of thing, but it just didn't work. The action for me was okay, but the whole tone of it didn't work for me. And Gillian, what's her name? Gillian, the girl that was in Doctor Who, she's okay looking.
Yeah, Karen Gillan. Yeah.
Karen Gillan. But the film didn't work for me, in my opinion. They could have done so much better with the script.
She's another one that I preferred chubby. Like,
was she ever chubby? That girl was always
thin. Yeah. No, she was chubby. She was chubby in the cheeks.
Oh, right, okay.
Now she's like, she's fit. She went all weird with the whole Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, and Jumanji as well.
Yeah.
Was like
she's all right. I like her as a person because I've seen her on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. I like her as a person.
Oh yeah, I follow her as well. Yeah. She's hot. She's nice.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, she's lovely. She's a lovely girl. It's just, as I said, I think she chose that film was a bad one to lead because I think this was her first film that she was the lead in the film.
Did she direct it?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
Somebody else directed it. I thought it was a bad. She picked a bad one, in my opinion. But
maybe it was she was hoping for it to be next John Wick.
Yeah, and I can see that. Just like George Clooney thought Batman was going to take his career up a notch. It took him down a notch.
I like Batman and Robin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's end the stream now.
You know what? There's like there's like one scene that I really really love, and it's one where she's she comes out of the Poison Ivy comes out of the floor, and then there's like they do the theme song, Poison Ivy, and I'm like, oh, but this is pretty cool. And then they're like, oh, here's my credit card, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, that was terrible, isn't it?
That credit card, yeah.
And then Yeah, Arnie in it. Well, Arnie was in it, wasn't he? Was Arnie in
Yeah,
it?
it was, and
Yeah.
they took some scenes out of the Batman animated
Yeah.
series from it,
Yeah.
and I mean he got a little bit of money, but the weird thing is, like, I never saw that Birds of Prey one, that Harley Quinn Birds of
Nor did
Prey,
I. I don't think anyone did.
and no, well, I didn't really want to watch it, and it was funny because like I'm friends with Paul Dini on the Facebook and that, and he said, oh, you know, like, oh, here's her with you know, the hyena. She has a pet hyena, but in the animated series, she has two, and they're called Bud and Lou, named after the named after Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
And anyway, I said to him, I said, "Oh, so who's this? Is it Bud or is it Lou?" And he goes, "Well, it's neither, and we could only afford one." And I'm like, "But surely you could afford two friggin' hyenas. They're all CGI anyway."
Yeah, exactly. You could do two.
But yeah, surely you could duplicate it and that sort of thing. And I was like, I'm not going to argue with him, but I'm like, well, you know, it's just the fact that I was like, well, that's weird. If they couldn't afford to do that, you know, just even for the fans, you know.
They you know, they had Dark Canary, Black Canary in it, didn't they? And Black Canary,
and she was black, wasn't she?
Yeah, but she didn't look like Black Canary's blonde, you know, and she wears that.
Yeah,
really
well, you can't have a black woman that's blonde. You can't.
But I'm just saying that they took the sexiness out of all those heroines in the film, which is really, I you know, if you want to attract.
I didn't go much on Mary Winstead.
All right,
but I think she only got the job because she's on with what's the name of the guy who played the villain out of Star Wars, Phantom Menace? Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor, yeah.
She's on with him, so.
I just think that that's a mistake when you're creating female superheroines or villains or whatever. They need to be sexy because that's the whole point of comics. When you read comics, you know, Superman's got muscles, you know, I don't know, Spider-Woman has got that tight costume, you know, and stuff like that. That's the whole point of comics, isn't it? You know, that kind of thing. But take that away, you know, what have you got? Nothing really. Let's face it. That's why
I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something. Just hang on a minute, and I'll go and grab it. But
in the Indiana Matt we got there with his hat on, fedora hat on.
So this is Wonder Woman. This is the Darwin Cook one that I've been trying to show you, make you watch. The New Frontier. This is the Darwin Cook Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Now, see how he made her like more muscular.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah.
She's got pants on.
She still looks like a woman.
Yes.
She still looks, and she looks Amazonian. She actually looks like she could take on, you know, a fair chunk of people. And the you know, now what they've done with like things like Teela and that sort of thing, where, you know, I mean, she's still got lines. She's well. I mean, they got what's the name to voice her? Xena, Warrior Princess.
Yeah,
Lucy Lawless.
Lucy Lawless. Yeah.
They got her to voice her, and you know, it fit really well. But you know, but he sort of gave women even though they were strong, they still look feminine. You know.
I think that's the whole point, isn't it? It's the whole point of women, isn't it? For them to look feminine and strong, and that's the whole point.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you look at all the women on these CW shows, and they're all wearing I mean, even Supergirl started wearing friggin' pants now, and it's like
onesie.
I love the fact, you know, even like in the cartoon, the Superman cartoon. I don't know if you saw the more recent one, where they had Supergirl wearing a T-shirt. She had a white T-shirt.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
And they sort of tried to get away with that. They tried to make her look like a teenager, I guess you could say. And she wasn't from like, you know, she wasn't his cousin sort of thing. It was a bit weird. But you know, they tried to get away with that, and that they used that look for a long time to try and get away from the skirt. And then they brought the whole skirt thing back, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it looked like real Supergirl. You know, it looked like that's another movie that should have got a sequel.
Yeah,
Supergirl.
well, it failed. It failed abysmally. That film didn't do very well.
It didn't here. It was gangbusters here.
But you do realize that the reason why they made Supergirl was because they were planning to do Superman and Supergirl movie, and it just didn't work out. So they were literally lining it up for. But the film did so bad.
Well, it had Jimmy. It had Jimmy in it, didn't
Olsen,
it?
Yeah, that it did so badly in America that they couldn't justify making a second one. But I do like look. Supergirl's costume's iconic with the skirts and the Superman top. And
her introduction is very famous.
So it's like saying Superman is wearing a t-shirt now. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand. There are certain costumes in comic book history that you should never be duplicated in real life. One of them is is a Wolverine. They should never put Wolverine in that yellow spandex because it'll look really awful. It really would. But Superman, Supergirl, that works. Yeah, exactly. That would look really terrible.
But if you look at it though, like he doesn't have to have he doesn't. But the thing is though, like he has his head,
yeah,
has the mask off, and like it's on the back, so but it could work. It could kind of work.
Yellow.
If it's a little bit, it's not. It's bright. It's bright. I will give you that. Bright. It's bright. Yeah. But that's really the comic book because if you remember, Hulk used to be grey. Like in the very early days, he used to be grey, and then they couldn't mix the grey.
Yeah.
So that was the reason why they gave him green.
Yeah. But the thing is though, there are certain costumes that doesn't work in real life. That's one of them. Batman one works incredibly well. In screen. The only thing that doesn't work is
that one.
I guess the only thing that doesn't work, I guess, because if I was directing Batman, I'd you'll never be able to see his eyes. His eyes would be white.
What really irritates me is the fact that they blacken his eyes.
Yeah.
And what really annoyed me was in Batman Returns when he takes off that mask.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he hasn't got the
yeah.
And I'm like, she should have two black eyes.
As I said, if I was directing a Batman movie, I would make sure the eyes are white because let's face it, you can see this part of his face. And if he's got any distinguishing marks in this part, people will be able to tell who he is. So, and especially the eyes. So, if I was directing a Batman movie, it'd be white.
You know what I'd do? I mean, I like Batman Begins. I hate the rest of them. I hate The Dark Knight. Not the fact that I had a bad date with it, but all of them. Batman Begins was okay, but I would kill to see a Batman movie where he just does detective work and he doesn't fly like friggin' Spider-Man across the friggin' bloody street, using his grappling hook all the time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look over on the rooftops and all that sort of stuff. I just want him to do and also to have the blue and grey suit.
But that might not work today.
That one.
Blue and grey.
That one.
It might not work. It might not work today. I that's the thing with Batman. He can only do his detective work when he's Bruce Wayne or at the nighttime when he's creeping into people's houses and stuff like that. Because if he goes to the police station in his costume, I mean, it's just going to be a bit silly, isn't it? Let's face it. So you got to when you do a movie, you got to think about the reality of the situation as well, because it can't be like the comics, because comics is a different media. So you just got to try and make it work for realism. But as I said, I like Batman's comic. I think if it's strange for a man to hang out in the shadows and wait for crime and beat the crap out of people, that's what he does, right?
Yeah, so. But also, but I never really saw him as being like a Sherlock Holmes type detective, but I always saw him as like a grounded character. He just wears a bat suit. That's it. He just walks around all the time, or if he has to drive, he goes in the Batmobile. That sort of thing. Now he just grapples everywhere, and it seems unrealistic to me.
Well, what seems unrealistic to me is when they had Justice League so Batman's got all these weapons because he's rich, but when he's without his weapons, he didn't stand a chance against all those alien creatures, did he? I mean, those things would just wipe the floor with him. You know, I can understand Wonder Woman and Flash and the rest of them because they all got superpowers. He has none. He only has a costume and the gadgets that he has, and that's it, really, isn't it? So
one of the great. I don't know if you've seen this, but one of the greatest. They did an animated movie as well, but there was a comic book where him and the Justice League, he'd actually worked out if he had to how to take them all out, and so he'd worked out. You know, he had a kryptonite bullet to take out Superman, and he had, you know, he worked out how to take out Wonder Woman and the Flash and all this. And what had happened was Lex Luthor had actually hacked the back computer and actually got the details, and he started doing it. And they're like, how do these people know how to take us down? You know?
Yeah.
And then like Batman, Bruce Wayne's going, it was me. Sorry. And they're like, we don't trust you anymore.
But to take out Wonder Woman, all you need is, you know, a bunch of flowers, you know, a bit of wine, you know, book a restaurant.
Linda
book a
Carter.
Restaurant. Yeah, that's it. You know, take her out there. There you go. But yeah, I mean, as I said, that you can't. The problem with comic book things is that you can only tell the story once, really, and once you've got the origin out the way, and it's got to be adventure after adventure after adventure, and that's the thing. You know, people can get tired of it really quickly unless you do it really well. So I do understand why they keep making Batman, because he is a sellable product. But as far as I'm concerned, I did like Tim Burton's version, and I did like Chris Nolan's version. I didn't like Batman and Robin or
You don't like
or the other ones.
You don't like the campy.
No, I don't like the campy.
You like the 66 version?
Yeah, 66. Yeah, but that was meant to be camp. That was
I know.
Was a whole.
But like, I'm just saying. Like,
I'll tell you what, right? The best Batman costume ever designed was from the first one with Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer looked fantastic in that costume. Yeah, well, what was the first one called? Batman Forever? Is it Batman Forever?
Batman Forever, the third one.
Yeah. No. What was the first one that Val Kilmer was in?
Yeah, that's it. Batman Forever.
Yeah, that costume was, as far as I was concerned, was as closest to the comic book you can get. The ears were the right shape, the muscles were right, and he looked fantastic in that costume. He really
didn't do Batman and Robin because not only because it was a bad script, but at the time he said he did it because of The Saint. He was remember he was in the movie The Saint?
That was terrible.
And that had it was. I went to the movies to see that one. And it was like so boring as well. I think it had something to do with Russia. Like they went to Russia and it was really stupid. But it was like he was in that, so that was the reason why he couldn't do it. But it was the fact that, I mean, I think he could. I'm kind of glad he wasn't in Batman and Robin.
Really?
Yeah.
George Clooney.
Yeah, but look, George Clooney. I mean, he played a really good Bruce Wayne.
He did, yeah.
But Batman, he was shit.
they had the wrong director for that. They really did.
Joel Schumacher. The first thing he turned around was bat nipples.
Yeah,
and it's like, we brought them back, and I'm like, but we shouldn't have brought them in the first
place. But the thing is, though, it wasn't. The reason why Tim Burton didn't do the other one was because it was the studios. The studios wanted to sell the toys, and because Tim Burton's Batman was so dark, they couldn't sell the toys. Because if you look at the figure of the penguin that they had in McDonald's, he was quite disgusting, wasn't he? Like the green stuff coming out of his mouth. He had the fingers like that, and they were the flippers, and so Warner Brothers was like, we can't sell these toys. We got to get somebody else to make it more bright, and then they got Schumacher in, and
put
he just
statues
destroyed it
all over the place.
Yeah.
giant statues. It was like,
he literally destroyed it. He destroyed the whole franchise. Yeah,
but he didn't understand it. That was the weird thing. He didn't understand the franchise.
And I'm confused. Is he gay? The Schumacher.
Oh hell yeah!
So that explains why the movie's like that.
Yeah, you've not seen Robot Chicken?
No, well, not that episode.
He came up. He came up with this really stupid idea, and it like starts off with this movie, and like there's this like German kid, and he's in like, you know how they're in that weird. They have those weird that weird uniform, like the shorts and everything, and that's the superhero. And he's like trying to explain to him about this thing, and they're like, "This is too fucking weird."
Well, I didn't realize he was gay, and when somebody told me, it kind of explained the whole of that Batman era, because it was kind of
neon,
camp, wasn't it? Very camp.
Neon. Hey,
Carl. And it was very silly as well. Very, very silly.
Well, it was silly. I mean, it just
it was silly.
It was.
That's it.
But also, a lot of it got edited out too. You know.
Yeah, thank God. Do you know what I did? You know, the thing is, Matt, I did enjoy them. I did enjoy them when I watched them.
I did too. You know? And they were still talking when that movie. Look, when Batman and Robin came out, right? They were still talking about a sequel to that. And the first thing they said, seriously, the first thing they said was Madonna is in talks to play Harley Quinn. I'm serious. Is in talks to play Harley Quinn in the sequel and it had only just been like out like a week.
It didn't make its money back. That's why they cancelled the whole thing. Because
you know the merchandise and everything like that. You know.
No, it didn't. The last one didn't. The one with George Clooney, it flopped abysmally, apparently. And Warner Bros. Was saying this is the end of superhero films. Nobody's going to watch them anymore and stuff like that, until Kevin Feige came along with Iron Man, and the rest is history. Now every film is about superheroes and stuff like that. You know, it's going to die out sooner or later. Just like the Western. Remember when Westerns were big? Suddenly Westerns are not big anymore. You know, superhero thing is going to die out sooner or later.
It will.
Yeah.
And I remember when Steven Spielberg said that, and they almost tried to, have him lynched. Because he said, it's just a fad. Fads run out.
It is a fad.
Marvel's killing it. Marvel is literally killing it.
Well, it's not. It's the actual tone that people are putting in, or whoever the cult is. That's what's killing it. I personally think if it wasn't for all this feminine agenda and all this Me Too and all that stuff that's involved in this stuff today, I think it has another 10 years left in it. But I think they're killing it fast, unfortunately, with all this crap. Because let's face it, we could have got a great Captain Marvel movie. You know, you could have cast Katie Sackhoff in there. She could have looked really hot in her costume. You know what I mean? And it could have been awesome, and people would have went to see it. Females would have went to see it. Males would have went to see it. It would have been awesome. But they didn't do that route, did they? They went and
they don't go for what people want.
Yeah,
do they? They would do the complete and utter opposite.
Because they believe
they have their own thought process that, this is what we want, even though we're saying that it's not.
Yeah. He saw it in Butlins.
What is Butlins? I want to ask you that, because I don't know what Butlins is. Right, it sounds like boots. We don't have boots here either.
No, Butlins is a resort. So you go over there, you take your family, and you.
Oh, is it like Heidi High?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
like
right. That. Yep, got you.
So you go there with your family, and Butlins. We've only been to Butlins once with my family, and it was a horrible experience. I found
terrible. To be honest, I look at those because we don't have those sort of things here. Those sort of holiday camps. Yeah. The first time I ever saw one was in Carry On Camping.
Yes.
Is it?
I think it's Carry On Camping.
No, it's Carry On Behind. Is that the one where they're like talking over the speaker and stuff?
I don't know. Yeah.
And then he hires a stripper and stuff, and it gets weird. But anyway, it's just the fact that they hey Darren. So yes, I know, time zone's crazy. I know it's like midnight here. So but they never ever worked here. You know, they just we just went
But
when we went tourism. You know, when we went tourism. You know, we went to places that were, you know, that were nice.
The problem with Butlins, and they had Butlins and Pontins, right? They were the same. Butlins, Pontins. The problem with it got run down. So when you took your family there, the chalets were really cold, and you know, and the blankets were rubbish on the bed, and so do you know what I mean? And then they gave you a choice whether you want to dine out with the restaurants they had, or you can just buy food from the shops, and you know, make food in your chalet and stuff like that. So it got a reputation that it was really bad, but now it's you know, apparently it's really
have
terrific,
like do they have like ballroom dances and stuff?
Yes,
teaching you ballroom dancing.
They have ballroom dancing. They have comedians on stage, you know, lowbrow comedians and stuff like that.
A cruise ship.
Yeah, it's kind of like, but really bad. So yeah, they had all that kind of stuff on there. But yeah, it's very interesting. Put it that way. But
I saw 2001 on a space on a
plane.
Just on a normal boat ship.
All right.
And I was like, you know, it's like when they have a family night, and I was so bored. I was like, I mean, I know you like 2001.
Hate it. No, I don't hate it. That's wrong. I don't like it.
I don't like it. I don't like any Stanley Kubrick films. There's none
I
that
didn't
I
mind
like.
The Shining. I thought The Shining
I don't like
was
The
okay.
Shining. I was bored senseless. No, I was bored senseless from it. And the same with you know, Clockwork Orange. And,
I didn't like Clockwork Orange.
No, and I'm just like, what is it about him that everybody likes? I don't quite understand it, you know. But I suppose, you know, everybody has their thing. But you know, I mean, I can kind of. I mean, AI was a terrible film too, and I know that he was working on it before he passed away. You know, Steven Spielberg took it up.
Yeah, it was too long. It was too long, and it was just too long in my
Another
opinion.
thing with aliens, you know.
Yeah, they could have ended that movie 2 hours in, or even less than that. It was just dragged on and on and on at the ending. Well, it was
supposed to be like Pinocchio, wasn't it? Like, I want to be a real boy, you know.
Yeah, same theme. Yeah,
Joel Osment,
very good. Yeah, he was good in it. The little boy was good in it, and it was well directed, but unfortunately, it was just too long, and I got bored with it. Just when you thought it was going to end, it just carried on and on. It was like Lord of the Rings at the end. It just kept the ending, just kept going and going and going. You know, but it was like,
okay. Then Gandhi shows up at the end.
Yeah,
Ben Kingsley.
I don't know. I just didn't think it was worth my time when I saw that film. I just thought it was too long. But see, Stanley Kubrick, he's a deep thinker, isn't he? And he's a very much an artist. And I think,
well, yeah. I mean, I didn't like Dr. Strangelove either.
I actually liked that film. I
can understand why it's popular, being you know, set in it is in the 60s. So you know, but I don't know. I don't know if it was meant to be a comedy. Is it meant to be a comedy, or is it supposed to be a satire?
Satire with comedy. Well, satire is comedy apparently. But you know, this is one of the reasons why I like Spielberg, because Spielberg has art as well as entertainment for a broader audience. He's found that balance between them both. You know, he doesn't give you trash, but he also gives you something of quality, but also tries to aim for the majority of people. You know, if you look at
Spielberg's a strange enigma in that he doesn't. If you remember 1993. He did Schindler's List and he did Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah.
And Jurassic Park was huge compared to Schindler's List. Yeah. You know, and like Jurassic Park ran in the cinemas for months, you know. And but Schindler's List went straight to video. I remember it going straight to video, you know, because it was so long. It was like what was it, 4 hours or something?
No, I don't know if it was 4 hours, but it was quite long.
It was 4 hours.
Thing is, though,
it was 4 hours.
The thing with Schindler's List, though, it's really well directed and really sad and really, you know, it is an Oscar-worthy movie because Spielberg is such a genius at directing, you know. And you watch that film very carefully. it is absolutely fantastic as far as I'm concerned. It really moved me when I was watching Schindler's List.
Oh,
it really, really did move me.
I can only watch it once. That's it.
Yeah, same here. I've only watched it once, and I brought the DVD. In fact, it's right. In fact, it's right here, the DVD, and I've only watched it once. Schindler's List. Watched Schindler's List once. That's all I've ever. I can't watch it again because it's too sad.
No, it is. It's absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
And it's like you know what happens, and it's like it's not going to change anything. But it's like he did those 2 films in that 1 year.
Yeah.
He was more proud of Schindler's List than he was of Jurassic Park.
Well, okay, it's all to do with him really, because he's Jewish, and it's about his heritage, it's about his people and stuff like that. Of course, you're going to be proud of something like that because he brought to light something that was never brought to light, and also he created. Because of that film, they created foundations to help the Jewish people and help those people that went through those kind of things, the ones that are alive today, and also to share the history of what's actually happened. So there's places now in America that you can go and learn about that history, because history is very important to every one of us. We need to know where we came from, where we're going. Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So the film is of worth as a movie and outside of the movie as well. And that's what I like about that.
Because I know he based it on the book from Thomas Keneally, who's Australian, and so it was kind of nice to have an Australian actually, because very rarely would someone like of his caliber do an adaptation like that, But I never read the book because it made me too sad,
But you know what, right? You got Kate Capshaw to blame for this, because Spielberg, when he didn't want to do it, because he thought to himself he wasn't the man to direct this. Because remember, at that moment in time, he was directing Jurassic Park. He directed all these fantastical movies. And when the script came to him, he considered it. Then he gave up. He said, look, you know what? I can't do something as heavy as this because that's not what I do. Kate Capshaw was the one that said to him, listen, right, this is something that you have to do. This is about your family. This is about your heritage. You have to do it. And then Spielberg was convinced, and then he went and directed it, and and he won an Oscar, and quite rightly so, because it's such a moving movie, and it's
I think it's probably Liam Neeson's best performance.
Oh God, yeah. I
mean, I don't think he's done anything since being good.
And Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley was great in it as well.
And
what
Rice,
a great performance.
What's his name, Rice?
The guy who played the evil German. Ralph Fiennes.
It's the only time I've been glad to see someone get hanged at the end.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, can I kick that box?
Yeah, it is. It's a really sad and heart punching, and it's a really great movie. And
it hit me the same as Life is Wonderful. Have you seen that film?
That's a great movie.
And like that's like one of those kick in the guts movies right at the end, and I'm like, you fuckers, fuckers.
It is
right.
It is.
And then just literally on the cusp of freedom, and I'm like, you.
What about
fuck this up?
There's that genius moment in Schindler's List where everybody's dying, and you see the little red girl with the red coat on wandering around and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was genius. Yeah, I thought it was great.
I mean, you gotta remember that was a black and white movie, wasn't it?
Yes,
and
it was.
Everybody watched that, and except for her.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
And it worked.
And Spielberg's decision to shoot it in black and white was a good choice as well. It was a good choice because it actually adds to the atmosphere of the movie.
Wouldn't it have been great if it actually had used original stock? That would have been fantastic.
I don't know how we shot it, but the thing is, though, all I know is that Spielberg's a genius. He was born to make films, and he's demonstrated how good he is as a director. And time and time again,
turkeys, but he's made more better hits than he has turkeys. So,
and let's talk about one of his turkeys. 1941.
Never seen it.
I've seen it. It's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not.
Got Christopher Lee in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. But it's Jim Belushi's in it. Yeah, he's in it as well. It wasn't too bad. Sugarland Express was a film that I think that was his first movie he ever directed. Sugarland Express. Have you heard of that one? Christine? No,
didn't he do Christine?
Sugarland Express was his first movie he directed. I mean, Duel was a TV movie, so that doesn't really count.
It's Duel.
Yeah, that doesn't really count. Duel.
Yeah,
but I think the very first movie he directed for big screen was a film called Sugarland Express, starring Goldie Hawn, and I can't remember who the guy was. But that was his very first movie. It's quite a good movie, actually, Sugarland Express.
Well, I mean, he's starting to learn his craft, isn't he? He's not going to get it straight out of the gate, is he? And
no.
It's the same with, James Cameron.
Yes. James Cameron did visual effects before he became a director.
Yeah.
He did visual effects.
Work on? What was the one he worked on? He worked on Battle Beyond the Stars. But wasn't there another one that he worked on too?
Yeah, the flying
Piranha.
Piranha
Piranha 2. I've got that on Blu-ray. I've not watched it because I'm too scared to watch it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a bad film. But I admittedly, I've never seen the Titanic. I don't want to watch it.
I've seen it once.
Oh, really? I couldn't even sit through it once. I was just like, you know what? It's not the sort of movie I'm into. And I know people are going, it's fantastic. It's the best thing ever. And I'm like, but I mean, I know what happens at the end. The boat sinks. So, but you know, I don't really care.
You know what? The thing is, though,
I'm quite proud I've never seen it.
Out of everything that happened in that movie, the thing that really made me wince a bit was the two stars. You had, I can't remember the woman's name. Who's the British girl that was in that film? Oh, Kate Winslet and Leo, right? Yeah, Kate Winslet. But Leo looked like a teenager, and Kate Winslet looked like a grown. And it just didn't feel right to me. I was cringing all the time they were like together, and I was thinking, she's old enough to be his mum. I don't know how old they were.
Like a little baby. He still looks like a little baby.
I don't know how old they were. It just felt wrong to me. It just felt wrong. I was like, But that's if there was one criticism, that'd be my criticism, basically. But it was all right. Kind of worked.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I just wanted to avoid it. It was not something that I wanted to watch. I mean, that same year Independence Day came out.
That was a good film.
Well, it was, but I mean, it was a takeoff of V. If you've ever seen that series,
it was. But you know what? The reason why I liked it so much, and this is current day stuff, is because the people that saved the world was a black man and a Jewish guy. And I thought that was right on, directed by a German. So I thought that was great. Actually, a lot of people don't realize that when they watch the film. They don't realize that's what's happened in the film.
It does. The weird thing is, it does actually hold up nowadays. Didn't go much on the I hate that actress. The one that played the president's wife.
Oh, yeah.
One that dies in the helicopter. That was so stupid. But I don't like her anyway. I'm not a huge Battlestar Galactica fan. The remake, I don't like it. So, but because I remember a friend of mine. He went to go and have his went to go and meet her, and I went to go and take their photo, and someone literally came up. A minder came up and grabbed my phone and said, no pictures. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, she's a bitch. She's asked that she's had no photos. And I'm like, she's wearing sunglasses. It's like, it's not going to affect her. Jeez.
But if you took a picture, it won't affect anyone, let's face it. But
that's the worst thing when people pay good money to have a photo taken with a celebrity and they're wearing sunglasses because they're hungover from the flight. Or something, it's like that Juliet Landau. I saw her, and this guy goes, "Look, here's a photo of me and Juliet Landau," and I'm like, "God, those are big sunglasses." And she's got on, and I'm like, "You wouldn't even know who it was unless you told me."
That is true. I mean, I've met some stars, but
yeah, I have too.
Yeah, they most of them. When I used to work for post production, I used to meet a lot of TV stars and stuff like that, and none of them really impressed me at all. The only person that actually impressed me, and he took me out for a drink, was Dudley Moore, because Dudley Moore used to do this. He used to do this cartoon. Dropper. Well, he used to do this cartoon called Oscar's Orchestra, Dudley Moore, and it was a BBC cartoon for kids, and I was responsible for doing the graphics in the beginning of the cartoon. I used to work on the Harriet. It was the Harriet and the Henry in those days, those machines. and I used to do that the credits for it, and he always used to come in the graphics room and sit behind me. I don't know why. I think he was drunk or something or whatever. And then one day he said to me, so he goes, "You're doing a fantastic job." He goes, "You're doing a fantastic job, Ian." He goes, "What are you doing? When are you going to finish?" And I goes, "Oh, probably in about an hour." And he goes, "Yeah, we should go for a drink." And I thought he was just saying that to be nice. And when I was leaving, and I was saying goodbye to everyone because it was like 2:00 in the morning, he goes, "Hey, where are you going?" He goes, "Let's go for a drink. Let's go for a drink." I'm like, "Well, I'm tired." And he goes, No, you got to go for a drink. And when we went outside, there was like this limousine waiting for him.
It sounds
he
like
shoved me in the limousine. Yeah, he shoved me in the limousine. And we I think I drank till 4:00 in the morning.
Liza Minnelli was in there?
No, I wish she was. But he was a really nice chap. You know, he goes, you don't have to pay for nothing. He goes, "Don't worry about it. You're doing a sterling job." And he knew everybody that was in the bar. So he took me some exclusive bar down the West End, and there were like people still there at 4:00 in the morning. He was like, "Yeah, get my friend a drink. Get him a drink." You know what I mean? I was like, fucked. 4:00 in the morning, I was fucked. I got home. I got 2 hours sleep, and then I had to go back into work again.
Oh,
but he's a really
story,
nice
though,
guy.
Isn't it?
But yeah, the thing is, though, I don't rate stars, but he was nice. And I tell you who else was nice was Rowan Atkinson. I was doing in those they were doing this thing called they had Mr. Bean on VHS, the combination. They had put all these episodes together and they were selling it as a combination pack. And I was doing the graphics for the when you put the VHS in, I was doing the graphics for it and stuff like that. And he came in. He was in the editing suite and people were laughing when they were watching the thing. And then he came in because he wanted to get away from them. So he came into the graphics room and he sat behind me, another person that sits behind me. And he said to me, "What do you think of Mr. Bean?" And I said to him, "Well, it's not really my cup of tea." And he said, "Thank you." And I said to him, why are you saying thank you? And he goes, "Because you're the only one that's not kissing my ass," he said to me. And and I was like, okay, thank you. And then when he was leaving, he said, "Goodbye, Ian." He said, "I hope to see you again soon." And then he went, and that was the last time I saw him. So he's nice. He's nice.
Yeah. He'll always be Blackadder to me.
Blackadder and Mr. Bean, as far as I'm concerned. But as I said, majority of them, I don't really rate them because most of them are up their own arse, especially TV stars. I used to work for I don't know if you know a TV presenter called Andy Peters. He was I used to work for him, and he was a pain in the ass. They're all really a pain in the ass, but I guess they have reason to be a pain in the ass. I guess I don't really know.
I got pushed by Jerry Lewis.
Did you?
Yeah. I was down in the casino. I was in the casino in Melbourne, and he was doing his stand-up, and that's where he was making his money at the time. And like he used to go there like every couple, he'd be there for a couple of months or whatever. And anyway, I was down there with my mum, and then all of a sudden I just get shoved, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I turn around, and it's like I see this guy walking off in beach shorts, walking off. Oh, no. And I turned to my mum, I went, "That's fucking Jerry Lewis." And then I got hit again by his friggin' entourage. And I was like, "You prick." Nutty professor.
I almost had a fight with Clive Owen in Cannes. I remember that. Clive Owen's really tall. He pushed me out the way. I wanted to fight him. I was like, "You're so rude.
He's one of those. He's one of those that you could tell that he just wanted to be a movie star.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even. I've seen some of his movies.
I saw, because he used to be in some really good stuff. Like there was a show that he called Second Chance or something like that. It was, and he played a blind man. Like he had problem with his vision, but he was a detective.
I haven't seen that one. Yeah,
and it was really, really good. But then it just ended really stupidly because he knew that he didn't want to do any more series, because I think they only did like 2 series or something. And it was Second Sight, it was called.
I think I know the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last time I saw him in Children of Men, I loved him in Children of Men.
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah, he was all right.
That was a really good film.
Yeah.
Like I like the fact that they didn't cut away from there wasn't a lot of edits.
Yeah.
and they got mud on the lens and all that sort of thing. I like the one straight shots.
I think that was CGI. The mud on the lens.
What? No, it wasn't. They couldn't wipe it.
Are you sure it wasn't?
Yep. Positive.
Okay.
They couldn't wipe it. They couldn't wipe it at the time. Don't ruin my. I was like, that was a really good film. What else?
He was in that one. Shoot 'em up, wasn't he? Shoot 'em up.
Yeah, and he was also. I saw him recently in a one called. It's actually I like it. It's a bad movie that I like. It's Valerian.
Oh yes,
the 1,000. He was in that, and he played a really bad, like a really shocking, like it was really bad acting.
The thing is, though, he was a good candidate for James Bond at one point. I mean, when he was in his prime, he could have made a really good James Bond, but they didn't go for him in the end. But he's looking a bit ropey these days. He
looks like an alcoholic.
Yeah, he's aging. The thing is, he was in Born Identity, the first Born Identity, wasn't he?
Oh gosh, I can hardly remember that one. I just remember Matt Damon's floating in the water. That's all I can with that movie. And then, of course, James Bond, they decided to go that direction. Yes. And I don't like that James Bond. I mean,
nor do I.
It was all right the first one. But like it just got old very quickly.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I don't like the fact that he doesn't have gadgets. I don't like I mean, they had a gadget in Casino Royale where it was the defibrillator in the car, and that was it. Yeah. And I was like, and I haven't watched Spectre. Is it Spectre? That's the last one.
I didn't mind Spectre.
I hated Skyfall. I hated Skyfall, so I didn't watch Spectre because everybody's saying how great Skyfall was, and I watched. I was like, well, shit.
I liked Spectre. I thought Spectre was entertaining enough. It wasn't great. It was
that one I've heard it was boring. That one I heard it was very boring and cerebral.
What?
I haven't seen it, so I can't. Yeah.
No, Spectre.
It's like apparently he just stands around and he talks.
No. Spectre surprisingly has got a lot of action in it. It's got a lot of action.
Well, I might watch
but it's not. I think Craig spoils it because Craig is not suave and he's not as far as
he's not.
He's not the movie. He's not the movie James Bond that I want, that I grew up with. So I have a hard time connecting with the Craig character of Bond. But the movie was entertaining enough. It had a lot of action in it and stuff.
I met last year. I met George Lazenby.
George Lazenby.
Yeah,
it's okay. She's just sleeping. Show that line at the end of the film.
You could tell straight off that he likes to be treated with respect.
Oh, okay.
And I was in line to get an autograph. It cost me like $60 for an autograph each. One autograph, $60. And I think that's about £30.
Yeah.
Something like that. About £30. Anyway, so I was in line and this guy before me went up to him and showed him a book, right? A James Bond book. And asked him if he remembered taking the photos of, like when he was up on the thing and that, and he's going, "It was over 50 years ago."
Oh yeah.
And it put him off. It really, really put him off. And I was like, "Oh shit, I've got to follow up on this now." And so anyway, I went up and he said, "Oh yeah, what's your name?" And I'm like, "Hi." I said, I really like your portrayal in The Pretender." And he just looked at me and he went, "The Pretender?" He said, "That was a long time ago." And I was almost going to say, well, not as long as James Bond. I thought, no, I better not. So I thought I'll just suck up to him and I'll go, "Oh, yeah, no, I just thought you were really good in The Pretender." And I said, yeah, I know you're from James Bond and everything, but I said, I thought you were a good character in The Pretender. And he's like, oh, and it was just when COVID was coming in, so we weren't allowed to shake hands or anything, and he just gave me a thumbs up, He just
That's
went,
nice of him.
well done. Yeah, he just went, well done. And I was like, oh, I feel kind of chuffed now. I feel like I actually made him not pissed off, by these crazy fans,
I mean, I heard that he's got a huge ego problem.
Yeah.
His agent told him that James Bond won't survive. That's why he didn't do the other one after Majesty's Secret Service and stuff like that. And
I have a friend of mine, and she lives in Sydney, and he was in a movie called The Man from Hong Kong. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Yeah, I think I know of it. I've seen clips. Yeah, yeah, it's a terrible movie.
So anyway, yeah, but he was living in Sydney at the time, and anyway, I asked my friend. I said, "Oh, do you know George Lazenby?" And she goes, "Oh, he tried to hit on me." And I said, because she's around the same age as him now. So, but I was like, oh, okay. And I said, she said, yeah, but I turned him down. And I went, all right. She said, mention my name. And
you're gonna mention your name, are you?
She said, oh, no. She said, mention my name. And she said, see what his reaction is.
Did you do it?
No, I was too scared to.
Yeah, of course you're not going to do it.
I thought, if I did it, he's going to go, what the fuck, I mean, you hear all these things about, a lot of actors and everything from other people that have had to deal with them,
I had to direct Michael Ironside in one film.
Oh, you're so lucky!
Everybody was telling me that the producer, again, the idiot producer, was telling me that, oh, you've got to mind your P's and Q's when you meet him. He doesn't suffer fools lightly and stuff. When I met him, he was the nicest man I've ever. He was fantastic. I remember once he said,
Total recall.
I said when I was directing him and we had a break, I was saying to him, he was saying, we were talking and I said, yeah, I really liked Scanners. I thought Scanners was a really good movie. And he just said to me, well, he goes, Ian, you're telling me your age now. You shouldn't mention Scanners. You know what I mean? And he was just taking a piss out of me because obviously I was old enough to remember Scanners. Yeah. And everybody around us were quite young. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. But he's a very funny man. And he used to take the mickey out of me and I used to take the mickey out of him and stuff like that. And then one night,
he's huge now,
Yeah, I know. One night he threw a party for us. He spent all his money, threw a party, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning. We were doing a night shoot, and he got all this beer in for the crew and the cast. Really nice chap. Really, I've got nothing bad to say about him at all.
He's well known for doing a character's voice called Sam Fisher.
Yes,
from Splinter Cell. Yeah. And I think that probably would have been around the same time that he just started doing that you directed him. But I mean, I remember him Highlander 2 and
well, it was the period where he was doing low budget movies, and I was talking to him one day and I said, so did you have to get a work visa to come over here? And he just laughed. He went, what are you talking about? I'm on holiday. Because I was shooting in England. It's like, I'm on holiday. I'm on vacation. What are you talking about? I'm having a good time, and stuff like that. So, obviously, he was kind of bending the law slightly, to make these films and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, really nice chap. I have nothing bad to say about Michael Ironside at all. Really fantastic chap. Everybody on set liked him as well because so we had Jeff Fahey and Michael Ironside in the film, and both of them are very different. Man. Yeah, so Jeff Fahey would sit in the corner and think about his character. So Jeff Fahey very, very quiet, and Michael Ironside would be mucking around with the crew and the cast. And I remember there was one day where both of them were on set. So Jeff Fahey was sitting in a corner just looking at his lines and stuff. And I said to Michael Ironside, Michael, do you know Jeff? He goes, yeah, of course I know Jeff. I play golf with Jeff. He's a fine actor. And I said, well, he's sitting there in the corner. He's just sitting there on his own. And he said, hey, listen, don't worry about it. He goes, that's his process. Leave him alone. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Just leave him alone. So that's the difference between them two. He was very much into what he was doing, and Michael Ironside would just kind of phone it in, really. He'd just muck around on set, and then when he turned the camera, he's on the case. Do you know what I mean? So those experiences I'll never forget with Jeff and Michael. Jeff would say to me, this is the first time I learned this. We'd be directing a scene, and I go, cut. And Jeff will come to me and go, was that okay, Ian? And I go, yeah, that's fine. And he goes, I tell you what, I'll do it 3 different ways. So when you're in the edit room, you have 3 different versions. And I said, that's great. So that's the one thing I learned off Jeff Fahey, that Jeff Fahey would do 3 different versions, which is great because in the editing, you can just pick what version you want. So that's another thing that I learned off him. But as I said, it was a great experience working with those 2 because those 2.
He only ever had that Lawnmower Man hit, didn't he? Because all the rest, I remember him being in the Darkman series, the direct videos.
He did, yeah. But also he was in Battle Angel as well, Elite Battle Angel, and he was in Lost.
Oh, he was too with the dogs.
Yeah, with the dogs. Yeah. So I mean, he does pop up from time to time in different movies, and you know what? He's wasted because he's a very talented actor. Same thing with Michael Ironside was in Nobody. Yeah, Michael Ironside was in Nobody. You know, the film with Bob Odenkirk that came out, made by the same people who made John Wick. So Michael Ironside was in that film as well. And some of the stuff that he did got cut out of the movie. So he's only got a small part in Nobody. But as I said, they're very professional. They know their stuff. They know their marks. They know that when the camera turns, they're basically locked into their character. I had no trouble with them at all. Other actors that were less experienced giving me shit all the time, but those 2, they're absolutely fine. So
professional.
Yeah, professionals. They're professionals, right? So somebody always told me that if you go into the green room and the actors are waiting in the green room, if you go in the green room and the actors are mucking around, you always know who the professional is, because if you look around and there's one guy in the background reading the book and he's really quiet, that's the professional. Everybody else that's laughing and joking, they have 0 experience, because really they should be focusing on what they're going to do at the end of the day. So
what movie was that? That was The Killing Zone, wasn't it?
No, a film called Fallen Angels, which was a horror film.
Fallen Angels. Yeah,
I'll send you the link.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. You can take a look at it. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's corny as hell.
It's a vampire one, isn't it?
No, it's a slasher movie. When slasher movies, when we're making cheap slasher movies,
like Scream.
Yeah, well, yeah, more or less. Yeah, man in a hood stabbing people. That's basically what it was. And I was hired to direct it. And I would, the money was so good, I didn't say no. No. So, Ian, do you want to direct this film? Of course. Who's in it? I don't care. Just let me direct it. So it was an experience and a half. It really was. But anyway, I digressed.
No, you're right. No. That's fine. I love learning about what your experiences and stuff. It's like it's really interesting to know, because I mean, we have similar things that have happened to us in our life, and
you with the cartoons.
Yeah.
Animation.
And and it just, it hits home, sort of thing. I mean, at the moment I'm just doing things to make ends meet, now.
Yeah.
And but my passion is, animation and cartooning and stuff, but it just doesn't pay the bills anymore.
No, it doesn't. I never thought that I'll be in this position at this age. I mean, I direct. Yeah, exactly. I direct corporate. I mean, I've been close, but no cigar. It's the same thing with you as well, because you went to LA, and you were part of the big animation companies, and then suddenly everything went down, and you were gone. And the same thing happened with me as well. I worked 9 months in Vancouver for a production company. I was directing a lot of stuff. I was second unit directing on a lot of stuff that was shot in Vancouver. Then suddenly my dad wasn't well, and I had to come home, and so that kind of killed my career. And I ended up directing stuff over here, but it wasn't. I couldn't get into the industry, and it's the same thing with you as well. You went to LA and you had that fantastic opportunity.
You go somewhere else, yeah. You find if you go somewhere else, you're following your dream, and everything is hitting the notes in the right order. And you're getting higher and higher, and then you're just getting ready for that fucking fall. And then, as soon as pretty much that fall happens, as soon as you get back to your home base.
But I do believe that it happens for a reason, and
it's a learning thing. I've met a lot of not only famous people, but just through my work, but like
Yeah.
I've met a lot of cool people as well that aren't so famous, and I mean I wouldn't swap that for the world.
The thing is though, you know, with me, right, I direct corporate videos, and with the corporate videos, because I direct so many of them, I can direct them in my sleep now. So by default, I'm learning to be a better director because the budgets they give us is not very good. So I have to work really fast. So I've learned how to direct really fast now, and I've learned more about cameras and setups to sets, because time is always the thing that destroys shoots. It's always time. You're up against time. So by default, I've learned, which is cool, you know, which is cool. So I guess fate kind of shoves you in a place where you either learn more if you look at it that way, or or you get better at something. I don't know. I really don't know. Mike Irons was an episode of 18. Yes, he was. He's been in a lot of stuff.
I admire the fact that you're going off and doing your own thing as well, like Rebecca Gold.
No choice.
Yeah, I know, and this is what I'm saying though, that you're not just sitting down on your laurels.
No.
You are actually actively, trying to keep going, and to follow the passion that you love. And I mean, for a little while, I lost that, and I was like, just going through the motion sort of thing, and I was like, well, every year I'd be going, well, I'm going to go back to America, I'm going to go back to America and everything. And it just never, ever occurred. And then I was like, well, I've got to get a job now, and I'm not making enough money. I'd do some work for someone that, like worked at Pixar or something like that. But even they would be doing work off the side. You know what I mean? Because even that wasn't paying the bills.
Yeah. No,
I hear
you.
It's the fact that, and I'll be like going, what's it like to work there? It's like, do they really have monkeys going around living in the have you seen this? They actually used to they had a pet monkey for the longest time,
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and they're like, no, they're all gone now. It's all gone. The whole thing's gone. And they said, you don't get free food anymore. You got to pay for your food. Because when I went to DreamWorks, the friggin' cafeteria. Oh my God, it was like all you can eat.
I've seen the documentaries.
Chocolate biscuits in the damn bloody world, and like I was like, oh, I could live like this,
The thing is, though, it shouldn't stop you from doing animation, because you've got I mean, technology these days is so it's so prevalent. I never had stuff like this. I never, in my day, right? It was Super 8 film, and you had to wait a whole month for it to get processed, and you couldn't edit it. So you'd shoot this little Super 8 camera, and then you wonder what you've shot, and then you send it to the shops, and then 2 months later they develop the film, get it back, and it's not even edited, it's just what you shot. So I mean, that's what we
can shoot in 4K.
Exactly.
And it's like it has a stop motion animation, which I love. It's a stop motion animation app in it that shoots 4K. And so that's all you need, plus the puppets. But you can animate on After Effects. You can animate, on stuff like that. So I'm just trying to learn that now, actually, because I've had it for years. I've never used it.
Well, it shouldn't stop you from doing animation, even if it's just like a 10-minute thing and stuff like that to get back in again.
Which
because one thing I've learned, one thing I've learned is that it's pointless going through the system, because the system's rigged. So you might as well just do something that you really enjoy and try and just get it out there, and that's all you can do, really. Because I enjoy the creative process.
You come up with, it's weird because you see these people doing a lot of things, working with characters that already exist.
Yeah.
Like you see a lot of people with these Batman fan films.
Yeah.
And everything like that. And like you've made something that's yours.
Yeah.
In Rebecca Gold, it's yours. No one can touch it. No one can take it away from you. You are the creator of Rebecca Gold. Yeah. And so, when you make your own characters, that is going to be your legacy, not working on these other little things for,
the thing is, though,
films and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I don't care if Rebecca Girl doesn't get discovered. I don't care if anything that I do from this point on doesn't get discovered.
It's getting there, though, Ian.
No,
it's getting there.
That's not my goal. My goal is to have enough money
getting there.
To create, because it's pointless these days to go to a distributor because all these people always rip you off. So I can't, because I've had my fill of that. I can't be asked trying to be noticed. I'll shoot something, and if people want to watch it, they'll watch it. As long as I can live and create, that's fine with me, because the idea of going to Hollywood now or doing stuff and whatever in TV land is I think I'm past that now, because it's really impossible to get, unless you're the brother, the sister of the mother that owns 20th Century Fox. It's a closed door system.
That's true.
So I can't be.
It is a tree. It's
the first camera I ever used. This is the first camera I ever used. I have this always on my desk to remind me of shooting stuff. Yeah,
that to me is still modern technology. That
it is modern technology. But this is the first camera that I ever shot stuff on, basically, and it's quite a good little camera, but it's a bit obsolete now.
I got a video a VHS camera,
camcorder.
A little camcorder, and I took it to the States. The States, and first thing I opened it up, and it went, and I went, "What just happened?" And I was like, "It was fucking like it wouldn't work." So I'd gotten to the state, so I had to take it back, right?
Yeah.
And when I took it back through because Australian customs are the worst.
Yeah.
And anyway, they said, "You got a camera?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "But it doesn't work." And that was the worst thing I could have said, because they thought I was carrying drugs in it.
Oh dear.
So they got the sniffer dogs out, and they're like getting the sniffer dogs, and they're going through all my luggage and everything, all the camera and that. They couldn't find a thing because I hate drugs. And so, but they were really pissed off. But when I finally got it back to the shop, and I said, "There's something wrong with this," they said, "Oh, it was over lubricated."
Okay.
And it had actually twisted all the tape and everything in it. And so I was like, you know what? It's turned me off, that sort of thing now. And I did try filming animation with it, but they're not built for animation.
No, they're not. They're not. The stuff that you can do now in animation is incredible. You just got to look on YouTube, see how many people are doing kind of things. It's just really, people can do lots of stuff now. It's crazy.
Like I've shown you, there's a lot of but the weird thing is, there's a lot of people that used to work for things like Robot Chicken and all that sort of thing, where they did stop motion, and now they don't exist anymore. They might do the one-off special or something, but they just don't. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who used to work on The Simpsons, and she's just getting by now by doing doing teaching and all that sort of thing, because and she worked on the friggin' original Simpsons. I'm not talking about the latest crap. I'm talking about the original, Klasky Kasupo type, the first 3 seasons. And so, and she's just getting by. So, it is. And it's like, well, but I wouldn't, the fact that through my art, I've met these people is something that I'll always cherish.
Same thing here. It is what it is at the end of the day. But I think if you've got talent and you can create, I think that's the best thing you can do. Just carry on creating whenever you can. I always make sure that every year I shoot something. I don't let a year go by, even if it's a 10-minute or 1-minute thing, as long as I shoot something within that year. Because people don't realize how difficult it is to shoot stuff, especially when you're not paying people and you can't afford to pay people. It's not that I don't want to pay people. It's that I can't afford to pay people. If people want to join in what I'm doing, then all power to them. If they want to learn, then come and help me. Yeah, because that's the trade-off. You come and help me, we create something, you learn. That's the trade-off. So
doesn't matter how long you take it to make your dream come true too.
Well, I always make sure that as every year go by, I always shoot something. So I won't say that year I didn't shoot anything, and I shoot something that I want to shoot. That's what I do, and I think that everybody should do that. Not have a year go. If you're a musician, you should compose something.
I had a thing. I
Mm.
very similar to you. I had a
Yeah.
thing where I thought I need to get something published every year.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's just one book.
Yeah.
If I get put into a book in 1 year, just every year, I'll be happy.
Mm.
And I think last year was the first time that I'd never been published in a book, or in the last 10 odd years.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, that's so, that's a bit disheartening, but I suppose with the whole COVID thing and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, it's, but I kind of, so I'm kind of coming into my own now where I want to do my own project, and I've had this project for like the last 10 odd years, 10, 11 years or so. And it's had so many permutations and different types of thing. First, it's going to be a comic book and everything like that. And I'm like, well, you know what? I've got these skills. I'm not using at the moment, and I've got some money to pay for my own project to actually have it happen.
Yeah.
And okay, I don't know the people. I don't know a lot of people in I could probably get it to be shown a lot, sort of thing. But and to be shown around. So, but I kind of want to do this for myself, my own project, and just say that this is, even though I've never done an animated, like I won't do a feature length. God, fuck, no. Short film, yes. But, and it's gonna be expensive for me. But, at least then I've got, this is what I did.
Yes, I'm saying. I think now you get to a certain age where if you're a creative, you've got to do something. You've got to do something that satisfies your creative ability. Otherwise, it's just a waste of a year. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to do something. Maybe you should do a short with captains. It would be great. But you've got to do something. If you're creative, and look, if you're passionate about something, whether it be music, film, cartoon, drawing, comics, you have to promise yourself, do something, even if it's tiny, each year, because then you can't look back at that year and go, I didn't try. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's for you. You have to do it for yourself. And that's why I always do it. I always do something for myself every year, because
that's a weird thing. Cause like, when I went to Hollywood and that, and I was having the time of my life. I really was.
Yeah.
And then I was ringing. Yeah, and I was ringing home, and I really felt like I belonged there too. Like, it was really weird. I actually felt like, I was like, I could live here forever. And all the Dr. Pepper I can drink, And so, but yeah, and then I'd like ring home, and then like the first thing they'd say is, when are you coming home? And I'll be like, hey, I was having lunch with a Hollywood director yesterday, and they're like, yeah, that's fine, that's good. When are you coming home? And you're just like, well, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, it's your thing, isn't it? You got to do something for yourself. That's the thing. And I'm not married. I don't have any kids.
Neither am I.
And I've reached a certain age where I'm supposed to be at that position at this moment in time, but I don't. It's not for want of trying. But the thing is, though, now that I'm in this position, I can't waste this position. I've got to do something, artistic for myself, because that's what I was born to do. I can't. If I don't do anything, I've only got myself to blame. I've got to do something every year, and that's. I think everyone should have that attitude. As I said, no matter what field you're in, they should do something for themselves. Yes, it's difficult if you've got kids and you've got a family. They come first. That's the first priority. But you've got to find a way to satisfy your creative juices inside of you, and I think that's really important for your soul and for your well-being as well. Otherwise, you'll just end up getting too old and sitting there thinking, I could have done this, I could have done that. And I don't want to be in that position at all.
No, of course not.
Yeah, so I just think.
And I mean, you're following your passion, and that's the main thing, even though, some days maybe, well, some days may be harder than others,
It is, it is.
But, and you may be doing the shit. I mean, I shovel shit pretty much every day. That's how I feel. I shovel shit every day. I work in the hospital health industry.
Yeah.
And, I have to put up with blood, guts, vomit, everything, the whole works. And I think, you look back and you go, fuck,
but
where I could have been, and then, but like, you just think, well, is this a way to, a way to, how do they say it? An end to the means sort of thing, like that, maybe you can do something better out of this, you can make
Matt, even if you're doing stuff like that, right, what you have to do is not let life beat you down, right? You have to be positive, okay, right? And I actually do believe this. Even if, say for instance, you're in the toilet bowl and somebody's shitting on your head, right? The worst thing you can do is sit there and take it. The second worst thing you can do is feel that you're of no worth, right? And that's where positivity comes into. The more positive you are, the more you're in the frame of mind to do something, and the more you're in the frame of mind to do something, you will do something. And I think that's what's important. I think you have to be positive, and then once you're positive, it opens up the world of possibilities of certain things, no matter how small they are. And once you start doing small things, you'll end up doing bigger things and bigger things beyond that smaller thing. And that's the only way to get out of the situation. It's a mental thing. It's not a physical thing. Yes, you need money to survive, but there's got to be a way. That's what I always think. There's got to be a way to make things better, in my opinion, no matter how small it is. That's what I think.
And I mean, I totally 100% agree with you. And it's the fact that, it's like, well, okay, why did I do this shitty job? And then it's like, well, it is to do something that I do truly love to do.
Me and you have one thing in common, Matt, right? When I came home from Vancouver and I had a really good job there and I was working on TV and stuff, and I came to Vancouver, my dad was suffering from cancer. And when my dad died, right, my dad wasn't paying the mortgage. He was paying the interest in the mortgage. So I had to stay to help my mum, because nobody was looking after my mum, to look after my mum so that my mum could be all right. And I've been here ever since. Okay, right. And but now I look back, I think fate pushed me here because there was no one here for mum, and I had to look. I ended up looking after my mum, and now my mum's one of my best friends, as well as being my mother. So without me, mum would never have survived. And I think that those things happened because I was the only one that could save her or help her. And I think it's the same thing with you. But I do believe there is a silver lining. I think if you put good into the world, I think it will come back at you. It's karma. And things are happening slightly with me. Not the way I want it, obviously, but I can see things in the horizon. And I think that's what will happen with you, I think, because you're there for a reason. And that's what you got in common with me. And I think that's why you're there. But one thing you should never do is never lose hope. Never lose hope and just keep going. That's what I reckon. What's this?
No, that's right.
This discussion's quite great. Sorry, we talk crap most of the time.
Well, we were going to talk about movies, but I'll talk about that next time. But there's no good movies coming out at the moment.
But seriously,
I mean, talk about the classics.
I know I might be talking out of my ass, but that's the way I see life now.
No, I totally 100% agree with you. That's the thing. That's how we get along, Yeah. When I used to watch your interviews and that, before I met you, I was like, I sympathize with you, We have a lot more in common than what.
Yeah, we have that in common, don't we? We have that in common. The thing is, everybody the only time you realize family is important is when you get a lot older. When you're a kid, when you're in teens, when you're in your 20s and 30s, it doesn't even occur to you that family is the most important thing. When you reach a certain age, you realize that family is important, and that's where you have to be if you're not anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? That's where
sometimes they just rely on you,
Yeah, exactly. And there's that old saying,
and if you're not there,
There's a Trinidadian saying. Once was it?
As long as it's not Afghani.
No, it's once. Okay, once a man, twice a child. That's an old Trinidadian saying. My mum always used to say it to me. And what it means is that you're born a child,
and then you're an adult,
and then you become a child again when you're a lot older. So that's why people have to look after and stuff like that. But if you make a good family and you put a lot of love out there and stuff like that, those things will come back to you. And it's family. At the end of the day, family comes back to you. If you're in trouble, family's always the place you go. The home is always. So that's why it's important. And I didn't realize that when I was in my 30s or my 40s, tell you the truth. It's just when shit happens, you realize that's the only people you can rely on. So
I learned that in my mid-40s. So, you know, it's like, you kind of know when there's a turning point. You know, now it's getting to gets to those points where you know that if something's happening of a major scale, you know.
It's really funny because you ask you ask for what you want. Like I remember I was saying, look, I want to direct, I want to write, and I want to produce. But unfortunately, I didn't get it the way I wanted to get it. But I still got it, So I'm producing corporate videos, I'm directing, I'm doing what I wanted. But unfortunately, it's not the way. It's not the Hollywood way.
It's kind of.
I still got what I wanted.
I mean, I come up with, because I've done character design and that sort of thing, and I've come up with some really brilliant characters. I'm sorry to say, but I have, and I'm a huge Avengers fan, Steed and Peel. So and I came up with these characters and I was like, these are fantastic characters, and I was getting people offering for them to work on my characters, and even to buy them, off me. But I felt like these are my babies, these are my characters. I don't want someone else taking them off me.
Well, you don't.
I know they're brilliant, but
you're responsible for your own, for your own creation, aren't you? I mean, you don't want anybody else taking. You spent all that time creating those characters. You don't want anybody else taking the credit for that, and quite rightly so. This is your characters. You have to. You're the father. They're the kids, right? So you've got to.
And you're the only one that can bring them to life.
That's right. That's right. So you can't. You can't. Anyway, listen. I better shoot.
I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
You look really tired. You look knackered.
It's like 1:30, but thank you so much for coming on the show. Hopefully, you won't be on Dan's channel later.
Well, no, I think Dan's cancelled it. Oh,
has he?
Yeah, I think he's cancelled it. No, I think something came up and for work, and he's cancelled it. So I wouldn't worry. I get some sleep if I was you. But listen, Matt, seriously,
thank you so much.
Yeah, anytime. But Matt, listen, right? Seriously, you should just keep going with the YouTube channel. If you enjoy it, you should do it. If you don't enjoy it, you should stop it. That's what.
I believe me, I've been enjoying it. Just the fact that I've just not had the time to do it, especially now since I'm back at work.
Yeah, I know.
And I've been sick for 7 weeks, so I'm back at work, and it just takes it all out of you. But if I can do more of this and talking to friends like you, then it'll be all worth it.
Who knows? You might get monetized, and you might be making enough money, so you don't have to shovel shit.
Well, you know yourself. I didn't really want to waste your time on these streams if I only had a small number of subscribers.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, Matt.
Thanks. Thank you.
That's all right, mate.
No, it's likewise. It's brilliant to have you on, and thank
worries.
you so much.
That's all right.
Until next time.
Time.
Like and subscribe.
That's right.
Like and subscribe and hit that bell.
Yeah. The three of you, whoever's watching.
Thank you to everybody who's been watching. This has been one of the long streams. Thankfully, it's not as long as PJ, maybe. So.
Oh, God, good old PJ.
Hi, PJ. All right. Thank you so much, Ian, and we'll see you again soon. You're always welcome back on here, mate.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries. You can end it. or are you going to carry on?
I'm buying.
You're going to end it?